Wing Gatchalian, Senator Richard Gordon, and Senator Manuel Lito Lapid.
In part of the House of Representatives, the members of this committee are the following: the chairperson of the House Committee on Cooperatives, yours truly, Honorable Congressman Sedaniano Canama, and my colleagues in the committee are all present. We have GP Padernos, Congressman GP Padernos from GP Party List. We have Fred Goya from Rico Boda Party List. We have from Cebu Province, Kong Fred Caminero. And from Cebu Province, we have the only lady, Ma'am Janice, Congressman Janice Salimbangon. We are all present, dear Senator.
Good morning, my colleagues, my fellow colleagues from the House. We will be having some of our colleagues come in a bit later. Budget hearing kasi namin today, so medyo madugo for the other senators. They're also tackling the budgets of larger agencies. But I know Senator Risa will also join us, at least to give us a quorum for the part of the Senate. But let us continue. Let's approve already our rules, Mr. Chairman, my co-chair, if it's okay with you. And also the designation of the Secretariat of the Senate Committee on Cooperatives and the House Committee on Cooperatives Development as the Joint Secretariat of the JCOCC. At this point, we are ready to adopt the rules of procedure of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on Cooperatives, and copies were sent, I believe, to all the members of the committee. I would so move. Mr.
Yeah, I move.
Thank you. And duly seconded without any objections. Thank you very much, my co-chair. We'd also like to designate for the record the Secretariat of the Senate Committee on Cooperatives and the House Committee on Cooperative Development as a Secretariat of this Oversight Committee. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. Therefore, the motion is approved together with my co-chair. We'd like to ask the committee secretary to please si Ma'am Jingle Alam to acknowledge our resource persons for today's GCOCC meeting, co-chair.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Senator, and good morning po sa lahat po. For the record, allow me to acknowledge our guests, especially those who have confirmed to attend our hearing today, led by the Department of Trade and Industry, led by Secretary Ramon Lopez and Undersecretary Irineo Vismonte, Undersecretary Blazila Lantayona. For the cooperative development, we have Chair Orlando Rabanera and Executive Director Ray Elevazo. From the Department of Agriculture, we have Dr. Lisa Batad and Ms. Rowena Genete. From the Social Security System, we have Maria Nim Paragel and Joseph Dezunia. From the Department of Agrarian Reform, we have Assistant Secretary Milagros and Maria Celerina Afable. From the Department of Labor, we have Attorney Ramon Zaura III. From AFCO, we have Ms. Luz Irinco. From the Barbaza Multipurpose Cooperative, we have Mr. Felimon Espares. From BODO Sacdeco, we have Mr. Alexander Raquepo. From BODO San Dionisio Cooperative, we have Renato de la Cruz. From BODO Santa Catalina, we have Mr. Wendell Amoronio. From BOD Tagum Cooperative, from Cebu People's Cooperative, we have Macario Yoyong Quevedo. From the CODIS Federation of Cooperatives, we have Professor Elenita Mantalaba. From the Fairchild Community Cooperative, we have Mr. Reynaldo Gandionco. From the First Community Cooperative, we have Mr. Edgardo Micayabas. From the League of Cooperative Development, we have Ms. Celia Atienza. From Marinduque Diocesan, we have Ms. Maricel Mabute. From the Mindanao Alliance of Self-Help at Societies Southern Philippines Educational Cooperative Center, we have Ms. Bernadette Toledo and Mr. Dennis Santander. From the National Federation of Transport Cooperative, Bagong KKPI, we have Mr. Vicente Balao. From Norlu SEDEC, we have Mr. Rafael Gayaso. From Nova Desi, we have Ms. Marlene Sindayen. From Nueva Segovia, we have Ms. Divina Kemi. From the Philippine Cooperative Center, we have Mr. Garibaldi Leonardo and Mr. Edwin Bustillos. From the PUP Department of Cooperatives and Social Development, we have Ms. Leonila Medina. From Victo National Federation, we have Mr. Jose de Tablan. And from the West Visayas State University Multipurpose Cooperative, we have Mr. Alavon J. Francisco. That's all, sir. So far, most of them are already on board po, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Could you send me to our ComSec to make sure my staff gets a copy of the list of people present para when we acknowledge them later, when we have the forum, open forum, so that we can print it out here. ComSec.
Copy, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Co-chair, okay lang mag-opening statement ako and then of course you can give also your opening statement, co-chair.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on Cooperatives. First of all, I would like to greet a pleasant good morning to my colleagues of in the House of Representatives, Congressman Canama, Congressman Pajernos, Congressman Caminero, Congresswoman Salimbangon, Congressman Guya, and of course, little later we'll be joined by my colleagues. Of course, to the CDA family, headed by Chairman Ravanera and all the members of the CDA, all the officers and members of the CDA. Of course, to all the operators from North Luzon all the way down to Southern Mindanao, pleasant good morning to you all. And our fellow national government agency members from the different agencies that are represented here today. Today's meeting will be discussing the effects and impacts of the pandemic on the cooperative sector, status on the implementation of Republic Act 11364 or the CDA Charter of 2019, and issues our cooperatives continue to experience regarding the issuance and renewal of Certificate of Tax Exemption, CTE, and other related matters with the BIR. I would also like to briefly inform the sector of the gains we pushed for them in the Bayanihan 2 measure. This pandemic, my colleagues and my friends, has challenged the Filipino spirit in every way imaginable. And we are glad that the cooperative sector, though impacted, is rising and moving forward from this challenge. The cooperative sector is one of those who responded to our countrymen who were in dire need of help. Since the onset of the pandemic and the enhanced community quarantine, the cooperative sector throughout the country provided support in many forms, such as cash donations, purchase and distribution of PPEs, face masks, disinfectant solutions, relief goods, milk, multivitamins, bottled water, and packed meals to different frontliners, volunteers, and various hospitals. Sets of bed linens and pillowcases for hospital frontliners were also donated. Sacks of rice and grocery packs were distributed to poor communities and LGUs. We'd like to thank the CDA also for encouraging the use of CDF in the COVID-related assistance undertaken by our cooperatives. The Community Development Fund plays a big role in our mission to reach out and to take to those of them that are disadvantaged and marginalized. Now, more than ever, we need to spend this fund wisely. Iba na ang panahon ngayon, lahat na nangangailangan ng tulong. Kaya saludo tayo sa lahat sa inyo na namahagi ng tulong, pera man yan o pagkain, PP or grocery packs. Alam natin na mahirap ang sitwasyon para sa lahat, pero pinili ninyong suportahan ang makakaya ninyo. Saludo tayo sa mga co-ops na umalalay sa mga kapwang cooperatives ngayong panahon ng pandemya. Sa patuloy ninyong pagsasabuhay sa ating bayanihan spirit at sa inyong lahat na tumugon sa hamon ng pandemyang ito, maraming salamat po. Today, Mass-Specc will give us a brief presentation on co-op issues, concerns, and response. The PCC will discuss to us later assistance extended by the sector amid the COVID-19 pandemic and the pandemic's impact on the sector and some recovery strategies. We would also like to hear from the CDA about the damage and setbacks that the co-op sector has to deal with in the wake of the economic immobility that came about in the various stages of community quarantine since March. We'll also hear from the CDA the status of the implementation of Republic Act 11364 or the CDA Charter of 2019. It's been more than a year since we passed it August 8, 2019, since the President signed the law, and we still have yet to hear what the CDA has formulated as implementing rules and regulations. For the dialogue with the BIR, we also have invited several cooperatives from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao to tell us the issues that they continue to encounter on the issuance of their CTEs and other tax-related matters. Despite the BIR's RMC number 102/2016, which allows the processing and issuance validation of CTEs for qualified cooperatives which do not yet have the TIN of members, many of our cooperatives still have a hard time applying or renewing their respective CTEs. Recently, the BIR has issued Revenue Special Order number 112/2020 and 183/2020, which establish a technical working groups, both in the national and regional level, to address concerns of the cooperative sector and their compliance with the tax code. We thank the BIR for this. However, we'd like to know straight from the BIR their response to our cooperatives' predicaments. In our hearing in 2016, we thought that we settled the sector's problems in the application of CTEs. But it seems that the BIR, our friends at the BIR Revenue District Offices, have a different appreciation of RMC number 102/2016. Kaya pinoproblema pa rin po ng ating mga kooperatiba ang kanilang mga CTE at iba pang mga BIR and tax-related matters. With that, my co-chair and my dear colleagues, as well as our guests and participants, I am looking forward to productive discussion this morning. I thank all of you for gracing us with your presence. And before I give the floor to Congressman Kanama, we just like to have a few housekeeping reminders. Number one is please keep your mics on mute. Kasi pag may interference, mahirap po kaming mag-preside. Mahirapan po kami mag-preside. And before I go on, I'd like to recognize our dear Vice Chair of the Committee on Cooperatives, the hardworking Senator Risa Ontiveros. Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
I'm Buntag, Chair, and
Buntag.
magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, Co-Chair and mga kasama sa Cooperatives Movement. Salamat kaayo, Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am Risa. So before at some housekeeping, so please pakimute lang ng lahat ng microphone ninyo habang nagsasalita po kami ni co-chair and of course our colleagues from the Senate and the House. And also we may have to limit the time a bit later kasi we have limited time. At the same time, there's so many who would like to participate in the meeting today. So I'd like to turn over the floor now to my very hardworking, dynamic, and very active co-chair. Akong silingan sa Mindanao, kay taga Cagayan de Oro man eh. No other than Congressman Ben Karama. Kong Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Idol, our champion in the Senate and also in Mindanao. We are very happy. You have so many milestones and we are also very happy you survived the COVID. No? Kaso lang nakita namin, lalong gumagwapo daw tayo. Sabi nila, ano daw ang sikreto? Thank you. Anyway, good morning to our very dear friend, Senator Risa Ontiveros, who also very supportive to the cooperative sector and the movement. Thank you for joining the meeting. In behalf po doon sa kasamahan ko sa House of Representatives, we would like to join and support the opening statement of our very dear Senator. We all agree sa lahat po na sinasabi ni mo, Senator, sa opening statement. Pangdagdag lang po doon sa opening statement, tayo po dito sa Cooperativa, we just would like to assert our role in nation building. Kasama po tayo, hindi lang beneficiaries, but partners and conduit po. We have a great role and responsibilities po para sa development ng bayan po natin. So, I think today, this is the best forum that we can discuss how that we could develop more the cooperative sector and how best we can be of great partnership ba sa nation building, especially in this time of pandemic. I would like to appreciate sa lahat ng mga cooperative leaders na nandito po and all those who are involved in all our activities. Salamat po sa pag-attend po ninyo. Yun lang po, Sir Senator. Thank you po and good day.
Thank you very much, Sir Ben. Any of our colleagues, Madam Risa, would you like to give an opening statement before we recognize the resource persons? Ma'am?
Salamat kaayo, Chair. No, I'm just very glad na ang dami po talagang tumugon sa imbitasyon niyo, Chair, for this organizational meeting. Lalo na it's bispiras ng Cooperatives Month. Mabuhi, Chair, for championing the passage of that na kilalanin ng hindi lang ng Senado, buong Kongreso, pero buong Republika natin. Na
Thanks.
from
Tayong
here
dalawa
on-
yan, tayong dalawa.
Yes, of course, all of us together. So mabuhay sa lahat ng mga kasama with our chair for bringing this to national recognition. So I won't say any more further, Chair, pagkatapos ng opening statement nyo, really to give most of the time sa widest participation ng ating mga stakeholders. Salamat kaayo, Chair.
Thank you, Ma'am Risa. Ma'am Risa, you can interject anytime if you have questions with the resource persons that we'll be listening to. You can come in anytime. Sir Ben, baka yung mga congressmen would like to give their opening statements?
Kanina
Congressmen
po,
and women?
kanina po, parang gusto pong magsalita si Kong Caminero. Can we give him a time? Si Kong Caminero,
Of
pwede?
course, Congressman Willie, my good friend, kuning barkada sa Cebu. Sir Willie, go ahead please.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ako ang idol sa Bukidnon. I'm very much happy and honored in joining today's first set of meeting of this Joint Congressional Oversight Committee. Of course, I'm very much happy, especially joining us, my idol, Lady Senator, the fighting guest, Lady Madam Senator Ontiveros. And of course, ang idol na ko nga taga Cagayan. I'm very much eager. Just this morning, before you arrived, I was able to come up with the issue about the problem of cooperatives, especially in the local level, because we cannot just imagine that this is somehow some other local government units. These are not their priorities. That's why I come up with the idea, of which I'm very sorry na meron na pala nandyan na daw sa Senate for third reading, o hindi ko alam kung pumasa na ba sa third reading, yung mandatory position of cooperative officer na nandyan sa ating local government units. Kasi pag meron na silang mandate, they are obliged to deliver the mandatang function to enhance and support our cooperative activity in the ground. So upon knowing that this is already, if I am not mistaken, is already approved in third reading, so I think Boss Ben and the rest of us around will have to pass we have to push the pressure to you, Mr. Chair, my good senator, that this can postpone from the Senate, that can reach into an enacted into law, so that this can be operative in the ground. So having this, we can look forward that there is really a person or responsible person in every locality that our cooperative movements can lend into whenever problem arises. So perhaps that is one of the very important message I can see this morning, Mr. Chair, and also I would like to greet the rest of the leaders of our cooperative movements all over the country. It's really a hard mission for us and to you. This is a very great undertaking that our cooperative leaders would have to push, because this is one of a very effective tool to push forward, especially to reach out uh, into the countryside, uh, uh, the services that somehow our government, our national and local government offices cannot address to. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Sir Willie. Regards sa mga Calderon brothers and of course kay Wilson. Diyan sa inyo.
Permi mang kabanding,
Banding ha, banding. Puro na kamasla mo ha pag banding ha. Sige, so do other congressmen please would like to also give their opening statements? Co-chair, your other colleagues. Si Congresswoman
Yes,
Salimbangon, is she the sister of Ben-Hur?
Mrs.
Yeah, no.
The wife, the
The wife.
the better half of Ben-Hur. Okay.
Huwag ka mag-English senator na sister.
Hello ma'am. I cannot see you sa screen. Saan po kayo ma'am? Hindi ko kayo makita. Well, regards ma'am. And so, okay, any other congressmen who are colleagues in in Congress would like to give statements? If not, sir, we can proceed.
Yeah.
Before, yes, just a bit of follow-up, just a bit of information to everyone. As mentioned by Congressman Willie, for the information of the body, we are going to sponsor the CDO, yung Cooperative Development Officer post for every LGU on Monday. So I will give my sponsorship speech on Monday, and tuloy-tuloy na yan. Hopefully mapasa namin yan before the break. Kasi budget hearing na kami after. So hopefully ma-third reading ko yan before the break, and okay na po siya. And then yung sa Bayanihan 2, alam naman po we had a briefing with most of the cooperatives who are present today. We had a briefing with that the other week. Maganda naman ang kalalabasan. It's for implementation na. We have a budget with the Small Business Corporation together with Senator Risa. We really pushed na mabigyan ng pondo and boses yung kooperatiba dyan sa Bayanihan 2. And we were able to put that at least in the BICAM version. Halos lahat ng mga government support, nandun yung kooperatiba na talagang front and center na matutulungan. Also, the Cooperative Month celebration, just a bit of briefing on what we've done already. I already designated the conferees to the BICAM kasi meron lang tayong paper BICAM kung Ben. Para tanggalin yata, may IRR provision dun. Tanggalin na natin yung IRR provision kasi baka dun sa IRR gawing September yung co-op month o gawing December. Kasi yan ang debate namin, alam ni Senator Lisa, yan ang debate namin the past few days, how the implementing rules and regulations steer very far away from the essence of the law. So, gagawin natin kung Ben, magpa-paper BICAM lang to remove na the IRR provision dyan and make it very simple. Pagdating sa October, it is the Cooperative Month. Every October is Cooperative Month celebration. So, Cooperative Month. Yes. So, with that, let's continue with the discussions. May I ask presentations from Mass-Specc, PCC, and CDA, most probably, Mr. Chair, would it be okay if we ask the CDA to present first? Kasi sila po yung government agency who will present the impacts of COVID-19. Then we will ask Mass-Specc and PCC to uh, also give their presentation. Parang mas maganda yata mauna yung government regulatory agency or the government agency in charge of cooperatives. Is that all right,
Yeah,
Kong Ben?
I do agree. Yeah,
Okay lang po yan, Kong Ben? My co-chair?
yeah. We support on that.
So may we request the Cooperative Development Authority's Chairman Ravanera online? Chairman?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you can present. You can make the
yes,
presentation, Chairman. Thank you.
yes. So before anything else, Mr. Senator, my highest respect to the chairman of the Senate Committee on Cooperatives, Senator Juan Miguel Suberi, to Senator Risa Hontiveros, and of course to Congressman Ben Canama, to Congressman Padiernos, Congressman Aresco, Congressman Caminero, Congressman Cabredo, and Congressman Janice Salimbangon. Let me begin.
Chairman, wala po kayong video. Okay lang yan?
Sorry.
Or
I'm sorry po, no, I'll say.
hindi namin makita imong pagkagwapo ba?
Sandali lang po, no, medyo nawala nga. Excuse me po for, kunin ko lang. Boleh. Ito. Okay, Senator, let me begin our presentation. Let me begin my presentation by stating that across the country,
Yes, please begin.
cooperatives
Please begin.
have created a lasting impact on the lives of the people, and this is reinforced, Mr. Senator, by the study entitled What Difference Do Cooperatives Make, conducted by the team of Dr. Jorit Hermanson from the International Cooperative Research Group of the U.S. Overseas Cooperative Development Council, which has been supported by the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. In the study, it was highlighted that the existence of cooperatives positively influences the overall quality of life of the community, and the members enjoy better economic position. And if I may, I'd like to share this. As a conclusion, it has been said by the USAID that the cooperative leader in Asia and the Pacific is the Philippines. It was also highlighted that cooperative members have greater resilience as measured by access to resources in times of emergency than non-members. And to highlight this resiliency showcased by our cooperatives and the efforts of the cooperative movement in contributing to the fight of our government against the dreaded COVID-19 virus, please allow us to share the result of the recent survey conducted by CDA on the effects of COVID-19 among cooperatives. The total respondents in the survey is 1,245 cooperatives, where majority of the respondents have a membership base of 101 to 500 members in their cooperatives, with most of the respondents coming from NCR at 21%, and the most number of respondents belong to the medium-sized cooperatives in terms of assets. To add on to the profile of the respondents, majority are multipurpose cooperatives, which comprise 57% of the total respondents, and the total business activity identified by the respondents is lending at about 72%. When asked if their operations were affected by COVID-19 outbreak, majority of the respondents, or around 97%, answered with a resounding yes. Cooperatives were generally affected by this pandemic, be it in the conduct of their economic activities, meetings, general assemblies, and trainings. Among other things, and in the survey, NCR top the respondents greatly affected by the pandemic. Respondents were also asked about the problems that their cooperative encountered during the pandemic and the impacts brought about by these problems in the overall operation of the co-op, and the respondents highlighted the following. Number one, decline in the productivity through work from home, where majority of the respondents indicated that it did not have any impact in the co-op's business operations. Number two, reduction of working hours, where most of the respondents highlighted that it moderately had an impact in their operations. Number three, lack of cash for operations, where bulk of the respondents representing 425 cooperatives responded that this does not really have an impact in their operation. Number four, reduction of employees. Majority of the respondents indicated that this had very little or no impact on the operations of the co-op. Number five, decline in marketing transactions of cooperative products. Most of the respondents emphasized that this problem moderately had an impact in their operations. And number six, decrease in production, marketing, agriculture, and others. Co-op respondents indicated that this had no impact in their operations. And number seven, business is closed. Majority responded that this does not really have an impact in their operations as cooperatives still provided the necessary services to their members and even to non-members during this period. Having encountered several problems in the co-op's operations, some measures have been undertaken by the co-ops to ensure continuous delivery of services to their members. Among these actions, in its order of the application of measures, are adopting staggered schedule, partial opening, online service, and home delivery service for easier and accessible transaction for their members and patrons. To help the members adjust to the economic impact of the pandemic, cooperatives provided moratorium in the loan payment of their members. 27% of the co-ops gave 3 months grace period. 24% of the respondents gave 2 months grace period, and 15.7% of the respondents gave 1 month grace period. On the other hand, there are 24.2% co-ops which offered more than 3 months moratorium, and the remaining 8.2% of the respondents did not provide at all. Cooperatives have adopted various strategies to protect their businesses. Majority of the cooperatives continued their business operation, 60.1%. Some have partially opened, about 35%. Others utilized their reserves, about 19%. The 8% have availed loans from other institutions to maintain its operation, and the remaining 3.5% have resorted to online transactions. Transactions, payment included. Almost half of the respondents, about 49.4%, stated that they have not reduced workforce in their cooperative. However, the 50% of the respondents have reduced their workforce ranging from below 50% to above 75%. While the economic impact of COVID-19 employs workers laid off and most establishments have reduced work hours, that being said, 49% of the respondents stated they help their employees in availing assistance from the government, while the 51% of the respondents said they did not extend assistance to their employees in acquiring such assistance. Health and sanitation are now the top priority of co-ops to cope with the changes brought by the pandemic. Most of the cooperatives have taken financing and sales as their top priority in recovering from the impact of pandemic, while manufacturing, production, and others, such as marketing, collections, and work arrangements, are not their priority. Like employees, cooperatives have also availed government financing programs to help them recover economically. Though 85% of the respondents said they did not avail such government program, and only 14.9% said they availed government financing programs. Having a business opportunity plan is vital to any business organization. It helps the cooperative's operation adjust towards unplanned and unexpected disruptions. Almost half of the respondents, about 48%, said they were able to utilize their BCP, while an alarming number of respondents, about 39%, said they did not have a BCP, and the remaining 11.8% respondents showed they did not implement their BCP. Despite of the crisis that the whole country is facing due to pandemic, it is noteworthy to say that nearly all respondents are optimistic that they can recover and fully restore their operation in less than a year. Such is the trait and positive mindset shown by the cooperative. Sa dilim ng COVID-19, ang cooperative po ay isang liwanag. During this pandemic, cooperatives extended help to their respective communities. They have undertaken different actions such as relief operations to members and non-members, financial assistance to members and non-members, donations, provision of PPEs, and assistance to frontliners and voluntary service. Mr. Senator, may I report that of the total po, totoo po, ginamit po nila ang kanilang Community Development Fund. And ito po ang data na aming nakita sa aming data po. About 1.7 billion, I repeat, 1.7 billion, yun po ang naging tulong ng mga kooperatiba sa mga membro, sa mga non-members, at sa komunidad. We salute po ang mga kooperatiba. Cooperation among cooperatives is the sixth principle, thus helping and extending assistance towards other cooperatives that were affected by the pandemic is certain for cooperatives. Most of the assistance extended were voluntary services. Some provided donations and relief goods. The expenditures for the various cause initiatives and assistance were charged mostly to their Community Development Fund. Of the total respondents, 65% utilized their CDF, while 22.9% of them used the optional fund, 17.3% charged through direct expenses, and 12.6% from members' benefit expense. The respondents were also asked with regard to the major challenges that their cooperatives will face in the so-called new normal. And some of the challenges Mr. Senator identified were the business apprehensions of the co-ops, concern of their personnel with regard to their health and safety while adjusting back to the new normal. And lastly, the marketing challenges brought about by these rapid changes and the full utilization of technology through digitalization and automation processes. During the COVID-19 outbreak, cooperatives were generally affected. However, they have exhibited strong resiliency as reinforced by the study of the USAID in coping with disruption in business operations. They remain focused in seeking to ensure that they shall continue to maintain provision of service to their members. The pandemic outbreak has shown the cooperatives' preparedness, readiness, and ability to respond to the needs of the members, their communities, including other cooperatives. Their positive support and immediate assistance to the authorities, local government units in providing resources, both financially and in kind, provision of PPEs for the protection of the community is also noteworthy. The survey results showed that the cooperatives can recover their business capabilities through their internally generated capacities and mechanisms rather than seek external sourcing, being due to the nature of cooperatives and a self-help and socially motivated economic enterprise. The survey disclosed, Mr. Senator, likewise, that safety and health security for the employees and members of the cooperative is a high priority concern of cooperatives, indicating that cooperatives put premium to human capital rather than profit motivation. As a result, the CDA had the following policy recommendation. Number one, CDA shall mandate the need for health and sanitation orientation and awareness for the employees and members, as well as compliance with medical and health safety provision for the employees of all cooperatives as required by law. Number two, re-emphasize and mandate the presence of business community plan in every cooperative. Number three, prescribe and authorize appropriate utilization of statutory funds of cooperatives to serve the needs of their members and the community in the cases of declared disasters or emergencies. Number four, put in place a mechanism to mobilize cooperative federations, unions, and primary cooperatives, assist government respond in a unified manner to the need of the community in cases of declared disaster or emergency. Number five, expand and embrace its frontline service so that they could provide, mandate immediate information, assistance, and guidance to cooperatives for them to operate and cope under the new normal, financing program, information, digitalization, trainings, and others. Number six, empowered to provide assistance through grants and or loans with no interest or minimal interest, soft loans to cooperatives. And finally, Mr. Senator, may I just end my presentation with this statement from the cooperative. Yes, you can live for 40 days without food. You can live for 8 days without water. You can live 8 minutes without air. but you cannot live even for 3 seconds without love. Yun po ang pinakita ng kooperatiba sa buong bansa, pag-ibig at pagmamahal at pagserbisyo po. We salute you, Mr. Senator and Congressman Bin Kanama, for championing the cause of cooperativism. Salamat po.
Thank you, Chairman. Maganda yung statement mo. You can live for 40 days without food, 8 days without water, but 3 hours without love. 8 hours ba without love? Maganda yun, gagamitin ko sa asawa ko yan. Mamaya, gagamitin ko sa asawa ko yan. Anyway, thank you very much, Chairman. Now we'd like to proceed to the sector. Unless any of our colleagues would like to ask questions with the CDA. Ma'am Risa, yes, please.
Actually, Chair, maybe I'll just put some questions on record kasi baka matalakay din naman ng ibang resource persons natin, especially from the co-op movement. And pwede na lang for input for our open forum later, Chair, just also in the interest of time. But immediately po talagang very impressive yung magnitude ng tulong ng mga co-op sa ating mga kababayan, 1.7 billion pesos. I just like to highlight that. And then pangalawa yung sinabing gusto nilang ng CDA bigyang diin ulit yung pagkakaroon at paggamit, lalo na pag ganitong crisis situation ng business continuity plan. It's striking, Chair, na probably kahit yung mga private sector non-co-ops, meron ding parang business continuity plan. And yet, parang iba rin yung resilience talaga ng mga co-ops na even in the midst of this unprecedented pandemic, napakita nila that they sustain their activities, tapos ang laki pa ng tulong nila sa mga kababayan natin even beyond the co-op members, at mukhang ang resilience-wise, mas mataas ang survivability nila even moving forward into the new normal. Kapansin-pansin lang talaga, Chair, especially when we look at the other economic indicators kung paano nabanatan, for example, yung mga non-co-op na MSMEs, and yet in stark contrast, yung resilience at survival capacity and helping capacity ng mga co-ops. And lastly, Chair, very interesting yung sinabi nilang challenges in the new normal. Business apprehensions, personnel concerns, market change. And sana po, I'm sure gagawin po ng ating Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on Co-op. Sana ma-communicate natin ito to the wider public beyond the co-ops movement na why co-ops deserve and can maximize really more support in the new normal. Gaya ng sinabi din ni co-chair Rep Kanama kanina, not only as beneficiaries but definitely stakeholders, partners, contributors, dahil may proven capacity talaga even during this unprecedented pandemic. So kumbaga, lastly at this point, Chair, the co-ops movement deserves to have a decisive say kung ano ang magiging shape at design ng new normal na yan sa ating ekonomiya. Salamat, Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, please. Please respond. Who would like to respond? Kong Ben, my co-chair.
Yeah, kaunti lang. Thank you for the recognition of Senator Monteveros as to the role of the cooperatives, not only on the level of being beneficiaries, but now on the higher level of being a partner, conduit, kasama po tayo sa paglago ng ekonomiya. Mr. Chair, kami po dito sa House, sa Congress, we are planning to privilege speeches in the month of October to highlight the contributions of the cooperatives. We will maximize in the presentation yung nagawa. Ang pinipresent kanina sa CDA, baka mayroon pang madagdag, no? Kasi I think yung 1.7 billion, mga months ago pa yon, baka mayroon pang nabago. At tapos, I think we have an initial discussion with the cooperative leaders. Mayroong panawagan po na pwede pa ba ang kooperatiba magbigay ng additional na tulong para po sa gobyerno, especially in the production of face mask. Kanina nag-usap kami ni DTI Secretary Lopez. Mayroon daw silang kinukuha ngayon na manufacturer, reusable, very safe and effective na face mask at the cost of more or less 15 lang. Kasi dito sa amin, 20 to 25 yung reusable. So, baka yun ang isa sa pwede natin matakol. Anyway, Mr. Chair, yun lang ang gusto kong ma-emphasize. I really thank and appreciate lahat ng mga cooperative leaders sa mga kooperatiba sa buong Pilipinas for being part on sa nagawa na contribution natin na we are trying to position and prove na hindi lang tayo palaging humingi, wish that we are now in the level na pwede rin tayo makatulong, especially in this time of pandemic. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Co-Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ma'am Celia, before we recognize the other presenters. Yes, short, quickly lang, Ma'am Celia. Go ahead, please.
yes, sir. Question lang, sir. Question lang po, address to the CBA. So dun sa Mr. Chairman, Sir Ramirena, good morning.
Hello, good morning, good morning.
Yes, sir. Yun, sir, sa mga policy recommendations ninyo, ang question ko lang po kanino po ba naka-address yung mga recommendation ninyo? Who is or who are supposed to respond to those recommendations? O yung po ba ay gagawin lang within the CBA? Plus, sir, naghahanap uli po yung LGU. Wala po ba kayong recommendation? The cooperatives we're talking about are within the LGUs in the area of the municipality of the province. Do you have any recommendation for the LGUs to act on so that they could also extend assistance or whatever support to these existing cooperatives? Hindi ko po nakita na meron kayong recommendation na magsasabi o mag-uutos sa mga LGUs na ito yung mga nakikita niyo possibility na intervention ng LGU sa aming mga co. Thank you, sir.
If I may, Senator Nick, can I answer that?
Please go ahead, please.
Ganito ito Madam Sel. Actually, we really, our approach is one nation, toil as one. Yun ang po natin. Alam po ninyo, Sel, we have these mga MOU signed with different agencies of government, whether it is DA, LGU, DILG, TESDA, and everyone. Kaya nga po, ang nangyari ngayon, it's just we have this supported by mga MOUs. So including LGUs. Because for example, Madam Sel, yung ang additional information, ang dami report pero time is very limited. Yung sabi namin tulong, like for example, in coordination with the LGUs, we want to a certain municipality at that. Alam po ninyo, you cannot just enter the IP areas, mga indigenous people. And so along that line, through these joint efforts, we went to thousands of communities of the IPs. At doon po, about worth mga 500,000 of price, mga pagkain, ay sus, nag-iyakan sa tuwa. We cannot do that alone. CDA cannot just do it alone. We do it as one whole nation approach. So yun yan. Pero if you want, I can give you yung specific recommendation ang ating mga other stakeholders that are working with us. So ganun po, Mr. Senator. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Mr. Senator, sundot lang po. Yes, sir. Sana, sir, specifically indicate in your recommendation ano yung call nyo sa mga LGUs. Most especially nga po na tayo ay we're working on the mandatory appointment of the cooperatives. And then we could able to identify what would really be the function of the LGU. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's it. For now, let's go to the other presenters. Thank you, Ma'am Celia. May we recognize the representative of Mass-Specc for co-ops concerns and responses. Who would like to speak on behalf of Mass-Specc? Sinong designated natin magbigay ng presentation?
Good morning po, Senator.
Good morning.
Bernadette Toledo po, of Mass-Specc.
Yes, good morning, Ma'am Bernadette. You have a presentation, short presentation?
Yes po. Can we request the host to show the presentation?
Senator, before the presentation,
Yes, Sir Ben.
Can we acknowledge the presence of the TI Secretary Lopez? Nandito po siya.
Oh, yes, of course. Secretary Lopez, how are you? Good morning po.
Hi, good,
Saan ako pag-present?
hello, good morning, Senmig, sa Kong Ben, sa ating po mga kasama sa, hello?
So Dennis
Yes,
mag-present.
yes. Bernadette, can you please mute first? Yes. Secretary, good morning.
Good morning po, Senmig, sa Kong Ben, tsaka sa ating mga kasama sa cooperatives. Pasensya na ho, nahuli ako dahil nag-talk pa ho ako sa isang forum na naka-schedule long before. So, but I'm so glad to be joining you all dito po sa forum. I'm here to listen and hopefully address some of the issues that will be raised as Senmig. So, I'm here to listen and participate. Thank you po. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Secretary.
Sec
We have together.
Lopez.
We have Senator Risa Ontiveros with
Senator
us.
Risa, hello po.
Yeah, and then we have
Senator Risa.
several congressmen as well.
And to
So-
Congressman, hello po.
Thank you very much, Secretary. You know, Supermon, I call him Supermon, Super Secmon, kasi magaling talaga yan. And
Thank you.
you are the father of the cooperative movement in the cabinet. So we're so happy that you're with us.
Just following
Secmon.
you po. Just following you.
Thank you, boss. Thank you. So please, Bernadette,
Dili ko kakuan sulod, gi-block niyo.
lines.
Mana? I-share naman ka. Ha? Ano siya? Eh, pa ako pala be.
Good morning.
Saan ka pala?
Good morning po.
Yes, good morning. Go ahead, Bernadette. You have the floor.
Okay. To our honorable senators and congressmen, and also the secretaries of different government agencies, and of course, my fellow cooperators, good morning. I will be sharing with you the initiative of Mass-Specc cooperatives in Mindanao. No? So first, allow me to introduce Mass-Specc. Next slide, please. Next slide. So Mass-Specc is a merger of two organizations, no? Mass, the political arm, and Spec, the education arm, and this is founded in 1966. And currently, most of our members are in Mindanao. So we are considered a regional cooperative federation in Mindanao. Next slide. As of now, Mass-Specc has about 331 primary cooperatives all over Mindanao, with an average with more than 2 million individual members. The combined resources is 40 billions, and majority of our members are multi-purpose and credit cooperatives. Next slide. Our services and programs, we have the services and programs, our savings and credit operation, IT, education, consultancy, our research and investments, no? And our network COVID-19 response, next slide, please. I believe this is quite in amount, no? It's different from what was reported by our chairperson. We collated this from our 169 cooperatives, no? So next slide, please. So although if you notice, our cooperatives are among those affected with the pandemic, but they continue to serve their members and respective communities. No? To document this initiative, Mass-Specc launched a campaign to consolidate the COVID-19 response of cooperatives. We tag it as co-operatives, no? Mindanaoan cooperatives. In Mindanao, co-ops under Mass-Specc are doing their part to contribute in a concrete way. So as of June 30, from 164 cooperatives, next slide, we contributed in amount, no, in financial and in-kind assistance in the amount of 1.2 billions. Again, as I mentioned kanina, kanina sinabi ni Chair, it's 1.7. Mass-Specc alone with 164 cooperatives. These cooperatives contributed 1.2 billions worth of financial and in-kind assistance given to members, the co-op staff, and community through our LGUs. And in terms of, if we try to break down these figures, next slide, please. For members, we provided about 1,000 each. This is given to over 1 billion members of Mass-Specc, and this comprises the total contribution na 97%. No? And 2% of that for our frontliners, the co-op staff, that's about 23 millions, and an average cash assistance and in-kind of 5,000 to 10,000, more or less, co-op staff. And the rest of the amount of the assistance is given to LGUs. Next slide. Next slide. This is because this is already presented by Conpile. So cooperatives in Mindanao also decided to have our own stimulus fund. No, the government is providing us right now a stimulus package, but the cooperatives in Mindanao decided to create our own stimulus fund to support our cooperatives. You all know that Mindanao is before the pandemic affected siya sa earthquake. No, with this fund. As of to date, we were able to generate 250 millions from deposits of individual members that's coming from farmers, the kind of entrepreneurs. They deposited this fund to the co-ops, and in return, these co-ops deposit this fund at the federation level, so that we were able to generate 250 millions as of to date. And this will be used is a financing fund for cooperatives, individual members in need, to be given for a term of 7 to 10 years with zero service fee and 1 year grace period for cooperatives. So for the members, so this is our concrete again contribution to members of our cooperatives affected by the pandemic. So lastly, our effort, especially with our Mindanao Cooperative, di lang siya nag-stop during the pandemic, but as of today, more of our cooperatives are supporting schools, providing learning materials, supporting, giving donations for equipment para sa schools natin. Also, we have support for mga frontliners and etc. So the effort of our cooperative continues until now. So I guess this is all my presentation. Mr. Chair, daghang salamat ug maayong buntag.
Salamat kaayo, Ma'am Bernadette. Daghan kayong salamat. Thank you for your service and support to the people during this time of pandemic and calamity. We'd now like to recognize the PCC. They'll also discuss assistance extended by the sector, COVID-19 impact on the sector, and some recovery strategies. Who will be my co-chair? Sino yung magrepresent on behalf of the PCC?
Baka si Sir Gary, but before that, Mr. Chair, can I manifest in behalf po sa mga cooperatives, salamat po sa Mass-Specc because kami po ay talagang natutulungan po sa kanilang ginagawa sa lahat ng mga communities, LGUs. For the record, Mr. Chair, walay pabor-pabor kita taga Mindanao, but we really would like to appreciate what Mass-Specc has done to the communities, especially during this time of pandemic. Mabuhay po ang Mass-Specc, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I agree as well. Thank you very much, Mass-Specc, for the support. And to all the cooperatives, no? Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, they all went above and beyond the call of duty. Alam mo, hindi naman yan national corporation na billion-billion yung pwede nilang gastusin. Hindi naman po yan top 20 corporations ng bansa na napakaraming extra additional income. But yet they support through their CDF. They're able to support our kababayan in their different localities. At napakaganda yung sinabi po nila na nagbigay po sila ng mga loan loan payment moratorium. Naunahan pa nila yung ating mga bangko, di ba, Secretary Lopez? Naunahan pa nila yung mga financial institution ng ating bansa. So talagang saludo po kami sa inyo lahat to the cooperative sector. Secmon, would you want to give an opening statement before we recognize the other presenters? We could give you a few minutes opening statement, Secmon.
Thank you, Senator Majo, Mix, at saka sa ating pong mga kagalang-galang na senators and congressmen, congresswomen. Actually, salamat po sa opportunity na to. Kakamit lang din po natin with the cooperative sector last week or 2 weeks ago, and it's always really an inspiring forum. Because we know to the cooperatives, even po yung mga programa ng DTI na ibababa po natin sa grassroots level, sila po ang may direct linkage sa ating pong mga kababayan sa nationwide po, and we're very just happy to always partner with them. They have been partners in our shared service facilities, ang mga equipment na pinag-share ng mga negosyante po na maliliit na members ng cooperative, pati po sa atin nung conduit system dito po sa ating pautang through the Small Business Corporation. And once again, I thank the Senate sa pamumuno po ninyo at ang mga kasama po ninyo sa Senado, sila Senator Risa, at yung pong mga sa Congress po for really fighting it out in terms of getting more funds para sa ating mga maliliit na mga kasama sa micro SME sector by giving more funds sa ating Small Business Corporation, SENMIGS. And ito po, malayong mararating po nito dahil alam naman po ninyo, yung unang ginamit na pondo para sa microfinancing ay 1 billion lang, nanggaling pa sa GAA or budget ng SP Corp. But because of the additional budget under Bayanihan 2, we will be able to reach out to more. Alam nyo po, in serbisyo naman po ng ating SP Corp is limited by the amount that they have, and we're basically using everything that they have. And wag po mag-alala, we are now developing po para ho sa ating cooperatives na maging pinag-aaralan po ngayon magkaroon ng conduit system ulit dito sa CARES 2. Kasi po itong conduit system, we are following under sa P3, yung original program po ng SB Corporation na pondo sa pagbabago at pag-asenso. But in the CARES 2, dahil po direct lending po sana ito, dahil napakababa po nung ambition nating interest rate dito. 0 interest, pero meron pong service fee po na 6%. Pero papatak po na 4% lang dahil per annum po yon, dahil po may 6-month grace period. But nevertheless, nung huling tayong nakipag-dialogo sa ating pong cooperative, naalala ko po si Mr. Godwin na sinasabi nila na they can still work on even having a pass-on rate of 3%. Kung ganun po magagawa natin at we will be able to maintain a low interest rate para sa ating mga membro, we will be willing to develop also a program that can allow us to have a partnering with cooperatives para maging atin pong conduits ulit para po dito sa bagong pondo sa Bayanihan 2. Yun lang po muna, Mr. Chairman, at I'll be happy to always work with the cooperative sa ating pong mga kapartner din sa grassroots. Sila po talaga ang nagdadala ng programa po, kapartner ng DTI. So maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Supermon. We appreciate how you're mentoring us, and it's not all lip service, talagang tumutulong po kayo. Alam mo yung ano namin ni Sen Risa, and when I was a congressman also, I was the congressman for 9 years. Yung mga secretary, minsan lip service lang po. Nakikita mo lang sila pag budget hearing, they will give their commitment and support, and then we will never see them again, and the sector will have a hard time approaching them. Kayo, iba po kayo, Secmon, and we really appreciate that. And you are really mentoring us like a good mentor. So maraming salamat sa inyo. We it was a great idea to put the cooperatives under your department.
Thank you.
An excellent idea. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. So, sige po, let's continue. Let's invite Gary. Are you ready for PCC, for your presentation?
Yes, Senator
You,
Mix.
Gary, who's going to present?
Chairman.
Chairman, yes. Gary Leonardo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kasi
Yes.
nakalagay, Garibaldi. Grabe yung pangalan mo. Hindi ko alam, Garibaldi pala yun. Sige, partner, you're now recognized. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Migs, at magandang umaga. Magandang umaga din po kay Secretary Lopez, kay Kong Ben, kay Senator Risa, kay Chair Orlan, ED Ray, ASEC LAC, at ang ibang officers ng CDA. Magandang umaga din, fellow cooperators. In behalf of PCC and the cooperative sector, I wish to thank the Joint Congressional Oversight Committee on Cooperatives for inviting us to share our inputs on how COVID-19 has impacted on the sector and the possible ways to help restart our economy, also from the lens of the cooperative sector. Siguro po, just to quickly introduce PCC, it is the coordinating, unifying, and transforming body of the cooperative sector, accounting for a large majority of the sector's membership in terms of assets, net surplus, and membership base. Much has already been said and written about how COVID-19 has impacted the lives of millions of people worldwide, generally revolving around reduced demand and resulting in turn in lower prices, lower interest rates, unemployment, reduced incomes, or even losses, and a pervading feeling of fear, stress, and anxiety. So I will not delve so much into that anymore, my dear colleagues, except to emphasize at this juncture that our cooperatives and cooperative members have been as affected as the other sectors, if not more affected by this present crisis. This is because a large percentage of our members are what may be considered as either relatively old or low-income earners, or have not been adequately exposed to advances in technology, specifically to digital modes of engagement. They are among those who may not have the financial leverage that would allow them to bear the impact of a crisis of this nature and magnitude. For the Philippine cooperative sector as a whole, by mandate of law, many, if not most cooperatives had to stop operations on March 15, either totally or partially, except for those that were deemed essential by the government, such as agricultural and health cooperatives. So many cooperatives, as with any other sector, may be looked upon as in a survival mode, yet they have managed to still provide assistance to their members and respective communities, particularly in terms of distributing PPEs to frontliners and food packs to needy cooperative communities. Ang PCC, for instance, bumili po kami ng mga gulay from the farmer groups and farmer cooperatives in the north, like Benguet, to help them dispose of their excess produce, with the funds coming from the donations of our benevolent cooperatives. The vegetables, together with rice, were distributed in turn to the needy cooperative communities in NCR and to some indigenous communities in Zambales. Additionally, PCC, together with other cooperative leaders, have continuously been lobbying for regulatory and operational relief in behalf of the cooperatives and their members. The issues that we've raised would include, among others, first, the expressed inclusion of credit and financial services cooperatives in the list of essential businesses allowed to operate during the lockdown period. And this was luckily finally approved by the interagency task force beginning May. Second, the use of the Cooperative Development Fund, or CDF, to provide assistance to needy cooperative communities, including those outside a cooperative's sphere of operations. Because, as we all know, presently, by virtue of CDA's memorandum circular, a cooperative can only make use of its CDF within its sphere of operations. And I think it's contained as well in RA 9520, which sort of limits the use of the Community Development Fund by a cooperative in its sphere, only in its sphere of operations. Third, the extension in the submission of compliance reports with CDA and other agencies like BIR. And fourth, the deferment of the holding of general assemblies. And then also, partly because it's mandated by law, cooperatives have given financial relief to their members by way of deferred payment of loan amortizations during the quarantine period, specifically during the first 2 months of the quarantine period. And some co-ops, if I may note, even went to the extent of waiving the interest on loans during this 2-month period. So it's an entire waiving of interest on the loans during the during the first 2 months of the quarantine period. So these are just some of the initiatives that our cooperatives have pursued in order to address the needs of our members and communities in the midst of COVID-19. Now, under the stimulus package of the bill crafted by Representatives Salceda, Kimbo, and Garin, that used to be known as PESA, but now known as ARISE, we requested that cooperatives be categorically included in the different modes of government assistance under the stimulus package. I won't elaborate anymore on this, except maybe to point out that those figures that you see on screen in the next 2 slides, those figures in red are the different interventions that are now included in Bayanihan Act 2. And I would like to take this opportunity to specifically thank Senator Migs, Kong Ben, for pushing for the inclusion of cooperatives in Bayanihan Act 2. Binilang ko po ang number of times that cooperatives were expressly included at hindi po bababa ng 17 times. So maraming salamat po both sa Senate and sa ating House of Representatives. It is, well, but before that, it's even worthwhile to note that at the onset, in the definition of terms of the ARISE bill, co-ops have already been included both in the definition of business entities in general and of MSMEs in particular. And this is very explicit in sections 2 and sections 3 of the proposed bill. And again, we're deeply grateful to our representatives in the House for the said inclusion of cooperatives. Now, we had specifically requested that cooperative structures be leveraged for the government's economic recovery programs by treating them as specific entities, that can be directly involved in the economic recovery program. Why are we saying that? Because cooperatives are, for one, are looked upon as instruments of economic freedom and social justice. Second, they are promoters of self-help, self-reliance, and self-organization. Thirdly, cooperatives contribute to at least 12 of the 17 SDGs. Aside from that, cooperatives support Ambition Natin 2040, and even the Philippine Development Plan expressly distinguishes cooperatives from MSMEs. And again, I'd like to reiterate how happy cooperatives are for having been included in the Bayanihan Act 2. So can we go to the next slide, please? At this juncture, please allow me to share with you a general overview of the Philippine cooperative sector in terms of overall numbers. There are a little more than 11,000 reporting cooperatives that directly employ about 500,000 and has a total membership base of more than 11 million, which constitutes 16.5% of the Philippine population who are at least 20 years old. Please note also that the total count of cooperatives, including those that have not been reporting, can actually reach more than 28,000. Moreover, when compared against the profile of business entities nationwide, the profile of Philippine cooperatives indicates a larger share being accounted for by the large cooperatives, both in terms of number and of total assets. And even within the MSME category, the medium-sized cooperatives similarly account for a relatively larger share compared to the medium-sized business entities in general. And related to this, can we go to the next slide, please? Related to this, a quick check on the potential impact of a drop in liquidity, say 25%, whether it be in terms of withdrawal of deposits or of reduced availment of loans. The figures would show that the large cooperatives are bound to be impacted more than the medium, small, and micro cooperatives, if not as impacted. This is reflected both in terms of absolute amount and percent decrease in gross revenue, as well as in net surplus. So in line with this, we are also requesting that CDA be further capacitated in order to strengthen its support for and partnership with the cooperative sector. In particular, we are lobbying that CDA be part of or be directly involved in the Economic Stimulus Board that will manage the stimulus package. In addition, we would like to share with you some other recovery strategies that we have been looking at for cooperatives. First, we will continue lobbying for regulatory and statutory relief, among which would be, first, for CDA to consider relaxing the required provisioning for loan losses, which is presently at 35% for less than 1 year loans and 100% for more than 1 year loans. Second, for CDA to allow net losses to be incurred, say in 2020, to be netted out or be deducted first from any net surplus that will be realized by a cooperative in subsequent years, say in 2021 to 2023, before computing for the allocation of its statutory funds. And this is actually with reference to the idea brought forth, and which I think is contained already in Bayanihan Act 2, relating to NOLCO, or Net Operating Loss Carryover. Third, for CDA to allow the staggering of the General Reserve Fund. Next is for CDA to allow the use of some restricted funds. I think this is presently being done already, and this has already been allowed by CDA. The use of some restricted funds, such as the General Reserve Fund for operations, specifically in order to help ease liquidity. Next to that, for the extension in the validity of the certificates of compliance with CDA. And last, and this is already being done, for virtual board meetings to be considered official for compliance purposes. The other recovery measures that we are looking at would be as follows. We will work towards further strengthening agricultural cooperatives and value chains, especially in the light of the Balik Provincia Bagong Pag-asa program of the government. We will enjoin our member cooperatives to put in place a business continuity plan, although this was already mentioned early on by Chair Orlan, and I think even by Mass-Specc, by Nadet, no? Next to that, with government support, we hope and plan to take advantage of the opportunity that beckons on cooperatives and cooperative federations that are specifically involved in healthcare, food, construction, and other basic necessities. Because in the midst of the pandemic, these are the industries that we see as constituting the sunrise sectors. So we will continue working on building up their capabilities. Next, we all need to recalibrate our strategic plans and operating plans in the context of this new environment for at least the next 2 or 3 years, particularly those relating to liquidity management, credit management, business development, fund generation, and management of OPEX and even CAPEX. To us, updating the financial status of the cooperatives members becomes all the more imperative in the light and in the midst of the present crisis. And this is where we see the need to revisit this. It's a very simple matrix. It's the willing and able matrix, but to us, it could go a long way in terms of categorizing our communities, our cooperatives, as to which quadrant they would belong, so that the pertinent interventions will follow. No? And next to the last, we will increasingly go for digital modes of engagement, such as cashless banking, telehealth, and online training, focused on digital literacy, financial counseling, health awareness, and crisis management. And then last of all, we will work at having a more robust cooperative database or registry to go with a wider data access, data security, and data integrity. And then congruent to this, we would need to help put in place a data analytics platform for most of our cooperatives. And this is where the cooperative principle of cooperation among cooperatives will come in, as well as strengthening of the partnership between the government and the cooperative sector, both of which to us at PCC would be most welcome. And all these are meant to help everyone, including cooperatives, cope with the so-called new normal. So again, thank you so much for our distinguished members of JOCC and our officials in government for this opportunity to share our thoughts, our sentiments, and our desire for recovery. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Gary, for that very comprehensive report. We're happy that you're on top of the situation and making sure that our cooperatives can be guided accordingly and reporting to this committee what's been going on for the last few months. Thank you, Gary. So we have with us also my friends, dear colleagues. We'd like to ask also individual groups. No, we invited individual groups to share with us the experience that they've been having the last few months. Particularly, alam mo naman itong pandemya, when you have no mobility, when there is a stop in the mobility of our people to and fro certain areas, ang natatamaan yung retail sector. Alam po ni Secmon yan, bugbog na bugbog yung retail sector na yon. We have with us vendors cooperatives. We have with us also transport cooperatives na natamaan. Maybe we can also ask them to share their experiences with us, the cooperative, for a short statement. Unang-una siguro, kausapin natin yung Baclaran Vendors Development Cooperative. Pagkatapos po, yung National Federation of Transport Cooperatives. Yes, opo, Sir Ben?
Before the next applicator, I think I should manifest that we should appreciate PCC sa lahat na ginagawa nila. Kasi I really see and I have felt sa puso nila yung ginagawa nila, yung love nila para sa sektor. So we have been meetings with the PCC, the Philippine Cooperative Center, yung mga kasamahan natin, mga members nila. They really tried all their very best in spite of the pandemic. Just imagine, Senator, ito pong ginawa nilang report, sarili nila yung kakayahan. They are a private group, no? They do not receive anything from the government, but ginawa po nila in the service po sa bayan at sa mga kooperatiba. I would like to salute, mabuhay po ang Philippine Cooperative Center. Yun lang, Senator.
Salamat po.
I second your salute. Snappy salute to you, Sir Gary, and to the people of the PCC, as I mentioned earlier. So, siguro pakinggan natin yung representative ng Baclaran Vendors Development Cooperative kung ano po ang nararamdaman po nila na yun sa panahon ng pandemya. Sino po ang COMSEC who will be who is representing the
Si Mr.
Baclaran
Sunny
Vendors
Boy
Cooperative?
Rigensia po.
May
Mr.
we
Sunny Boy.
request Sir Sunny Boy to, ayun na pala siya. Sige po, you have the floor, sir.
Good morning, Senator Mixoviri, to our Congressman Kanama, and to our DTI Secretary, and to all cooperative sector. On the part of Baclaran Vendors Development Cooperative po, majority of our members are retailer or small vendors or small entrepreneur. And nakita po natin ang epekto nito sa kanila, sa ating mga membro, ay malaki ho. Especially dun sa retailer side, marami ho dito na dahil alam nyo naman po sa Baclaran na yung mga taong pupunta rito through public transport ang nagdadala ng mga customer dito sa Baclaran. So dahil wala hong public transport at sarado ho yung ating simbahan ng Baclaran, yung Redemptorist, ay limitado ho yung mga buyer natin. So, ang epekto po nito sa ating mga retailers, sa ating mga membro, ay talagang nawalan ho sila ng hanap buhay. In our initial record po, 10% of our retailer talagang nagsarado po ng negosyo. Because, unang-una, wala ho silang income. Yung kanilang pesto, hindi nila kayang bayaran. Especially yung mga nag-lockdown po. Yun po yung nakakalungkot sa part ng aming cooperative. At meron kung nag-divert in other business, maswerte na lang ho, may mga kasapi ho kaming nasa mga essential businesses like nasa wet market, sila ho yung medyo nagsosurvive ngayon at sila po yung nagdadala sa cooperative namin ngayon. Pero pagdating ho sa mga retailer at mga small vendors, talagang wala sila. At yun po yung sinuportahan ng aming cooperative during pandemic. Sila po yung binigyan namin ng support. At sana ho ay itong ating Bayan ng Act 2 ay at ang ating mga ginagawa ng ating cooperative at especially ng ating mga mambabatas ay makatulong po sa maliliit na mga tindahan, especially ng Baclaran. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Sunny Boy. Alam mo, talagang nakikita namin yung effects ng pandemic sa inyong sektor, no? Kung wala talagang makakalabas ng bahay dahil sa pandemyang ito, kayo po ang unang matatamaan. And ito po yung talagang micro enterprises segment. Yung talagang membro ng kanilang grupo ay mga micro enterprises. And so any masyado silang sensitive sa any changes in terms of economic boom or bust. So talagang naaawa po kami sa grupong iyan, yung sektor na yan. But rest assured, Sunny Boy, no, nandiyan naman si Secretary Mon Lopez. Yan po ay champion po yan ng micro and small enterprises. Napondohan natin yung Small Business Corporation ng 10 billion para sa mga micro, kasama dyan yung micro and small enterprises. And of course, the assistance from other government agencies. Sir Sunny. So rest assured na we'll continue to monitor. We'll continue to monitor para matulungan po kayo.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment, Sir Ben?
May I say, Senator?
Please go ahead, Co-Chair.
Thank you. Ako personally, I have visited their cooperatives. Maganda doon sa, kasi pag sinabi natin mga market vendors sa Baclaran, parang mga small time talipapa, ganyan, no? Pero yung ito is a model of market vendors cooperative na lumago, nag-develop doon sa Baclaran. Una, natamaan po sila sa widening. Parang nakaya na nila. Pero by this time, hindi nakaya yung COVID. So I think I would like to appeal to Secretary Lopez na pwede gawin itong Baclaran together with Nambisco as a pilot po doon sa pagtulong sa mga small scale na mga market vendors. I think they are very willing to become conduit, Secretary. So ito po isa sa malaking co-op doon. Pero lahat po sila, mga members nila, mga maliliit na mga vendor sa Baclaran. I think it's a very good story na matulungan natin sila. Kung mag-succeed po tayo sa kanila, that would become pilot for the rest of Metro Manila. So I would like to appeal to the Secretary na mabigyan po silang pansin. Thank you po.
Secretary, you may respond, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Kong Ben. Let me confirm that we will definitely talk to the kila Mr. Sunny Boy doon sa kanila pong baklaran na cooperative para maging conduit, number one. Number two ho, I think tayo po marami hong naapektuhan dito sa pandemic and kaya po I will ask the support of everyone in the forum, lalo na po yung mga retailers na naapektuhan. Please support also the DTI's advocacy every time we talk about the need to reopen more the economy dahil konting boses lang po tayo at normally ho ay ang nangingibabaw ay syempre sa ngayon equally concerned din tayo sa health. But I think whenever we talk of reopening, we're doing this really para ma-increase ang opportunities sa ating mga kasama dito sa sektor na to na makabalik sa trabaho at malabanan yung unemployment, malabanan yung poverty. So, narinig nyo siguro recently, medyo napalutang natin yung pag-move sa modified GCQ. Actually, when we proposed that, Mr. Chairman, hindi po ibig sabihin na pag-modified GCQ ay hindi na tayo mag-iingat, tatanggalin na natin ang minimum health protocol. On the contrary, we will be more strict. Meron na tayong health protocol. But what we're still saying, we have to reopen the other parts of the economy na sarado pa para makabalik lahat sa trabaho kasi ito yung magpapaikot sa economy. At tulad doon nung nabanggit ni Mr. Sunny Boy na yung mga sarado pa ay talagang makapagbukas na at magkaroon ng trabaho, magkaroon ulit yung maliliit na negosyo. So, medyo magkwento-kwento rin kayo sa mga kaibigan ninyo sa ibang sektor, sa media, pati sa ating mga mambabatas na masuportahan po yung pag-reopen. Kasi after 6 months, I think we are learning how to manage the virus na hindi po lang community quarantine ang sagot kung hindi yung strict enforcement ng ating minimum health standard, strict enforcement ng community lockdown, strict enforcement po ng pag-trace, pag-isolate, pag-test, pag-treat. Yan po ay gagawin natin kahit modified GCQ. Yan po ang gagawin kahit po next year, kahit 2 years from now kasi the virus will not be zero. It will always be here. If ever magkaroon man ng vaccine, baka hanggang next year pa po tayo mabigyan lahat or next year. So, imposibleng maging sarado pa yung ibang sektor sa atin. Bakit pa natin intayin yung next year? So, yun po, number 2 po yun na panawagan ko sana pagtulungan tayo sa voice out on the need to reopen the economy. Number 3 po, doon po sa ni-raise po about limitation ng galaw ng ating retail trade, yung physical. DTI po is continuing, has been doing a lot of webinars, yung online seminar. Ano ilagay sa digital platform, yung mga may tindahan, o kaya yung mga cooperative, mga produkto po nyo. In fact, kaya po ni-launch po kaming virtual trade expo kasi hindi na tayo makagawa ng physical na trade expo. So, yun lang po. But we have a lot of programs na training. Pati yung actual trade expo, meron na ho tayong online platform kung saan yung mga produkto po ninyo ay pwede ho nating ipasok doon. Walang listing fee, walang rental fee kasi online po ito. We will be willing to carry all your products. Basta ho, pakita natin for consumer protection, yung standards po nito ay willing po ang DTI to train and to carry all your products dito po sa Virtual Trade Expo. Ito na po yung new normal natin dahil limitado po tayo sa physical mga stores at mga tindahan. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sec. Yes, Ma'am Risa, please go ahead.
Salamat, Chair. Balikan ko rin po yung proposal ni Rep. Ben na yung patuloy at mas malakas pa na partnership between, kunyari, yung Baclaran Co-ops, kina Sir Sunny Boy, at saka yung DTI. Nabanggit din ni Rep. Ben kanina yung NAMVESCO. Kasi I'm not surprised po, Chair, lumalabas yung ganitong mga very concrete, practical na suggestions. Kasi alam natin yung mga co-ops talagang beyond their cooperative theory ay talagang naghahanap at operationalize na mga solusyon kahit sa gitna ng pandemic at saka yung recession. So I'm really hopeful na maaksyonan yung proposal na iyan ni Rep. Bien. Kasi for example, particular dito sa Baclaran, alam natin na yung mga co-ops ni na Sir Sonny Boy, in fact, parang may symbiotic relationship with Baclaran Church na binanggit din nila. Parang naging napaka-dynamic na ecosystem doon sa Baclaran, di ba? Religious, cultural, commercial, population, ano talaga. It's really a very vibrant ecosystem. So, super support doon sa panukala ni Rep. Ben, kaugnay ni na Sir Sonny Boy. And then also, Chair, yung kwento po ni na Sir Sonny Boy, I think was a very good example din nung update na binigay ni Sir Gary kanina from the PCC. Kapansin-pansin sa akin, yung CDA report was in a way mas nakafocus dun sa resilience ng mga co-ops natin. And then, segue dun sa kung paano nga sa gitna nitong pandemic at laki pa rin ang tulong ng co-ops in partnership with government and then dun sa LGUs nila. Kapansin-pansin, yung tone naman ng, which I appreciated very much also, yung PCC update, hinighlight din ni Sir Gary kung paano din nag-suffer yung mga co-ops at saka yung co-op members, yung sacrifice na in-entail sa kanila. And then at the same time, so segue din at dun nagsama dun sa update ng CDA, segue dun sa in the middle of itong sacrifice na in-entail ng pandemic sa co-ops, kung gaano kalaki pa rin siya nakatulong. So interesting lang, Chair, para sa akin very helpful both yung ibang diin ng CDA update at yung ibang diin din ng PCC update, and yet nagsama dun sa kung paano pa rin tumutulong yung ating mga co-ops. And lastly, Chair, at this point, nalimutan ko lang banggitin kanina, natuwa lang ako dun sa isang historical, hindi trivia, pero fact ni Ms. Bernadette kanina sa Mass-Specc. Kasi kanina ko lang nalaman na yung spec pala, yung education part ng Mass-Specc, tinatag nung 1966. So kahit malaman nyo yung edad ko, magka-birthday kami kasi 1966. So super appreciated ko lalo yung Mass-Specc. Nakilala ko yan, Chair, late 80s, panahon na nasa Coalition for Peace ako. Kasi even then, Mass-Specc talaga bukang bibig ng lahat ng taga Cagayan de Oro at buong Mindanao. At hanggang ngayon nakakatuwa, no, napakalakas na bahagi pa rin ng ating co-ops movement. Salamat, Chair.
Thank you, Ate Risa. Thank you, Ate. Just kidding.
Hoy.
Alam ko na yung edad mo. Thank you. Now we'd like to recognize from the isa pong sektor na natamaan din ng malaki, no, sa pandemyang ito. Obviously is the transport sector. Talagang napakarami mga super, mga driver, jeepney drivers, tricycle drivers, of course on the transport sector na tinamaan talaga, and until now actually nahihirapan sila. So we'd like to hear also the voice of the transport cooperatives. May we recognize the presenter for the National Federation of Transport Cooperatives. We're now recognized. Sino po, dear Comsec, ang ating magiging presenter?
Sir, si Sir Vicente Balaan, Secretary General.
Sir Vic, you have the floor, Sir Vic.
Good morning, dear Senator. Magandang umaga po. Magandang umaga rin kay Congressman Kanama for the invitation at paano makapag-share naman kami ng aming experience regarding dito sa atin sa COVID-19. Magandang umaga rin sa lahat ng mga ibang mga participants natin ngayon dito sa ating web conference. Ang National Federation of Transport Cooperatives represents about 1,200 transportation cooperatives throughout the country. About karamihan ng mga transport cooperatives ay nandirito sa Metro Manila, pero marami na rin sa probinsya. Ang nangyari ho nung itong sa pandemic, talagang na malaki ho ang naging problema namin. Unang-una, hindi tumakbo. So what we did was tignan muna yung aming mga membro. So, ni-require ho ng Department of Labor and Department of Labor and Employment na kami po ho ay magbigay ng 1/4 na 13-month pay ng aming mga drivers na amin ng mga empleyado ngayon. So, binigyan po namin sila. Yung mga aming operators po na dati-dati ay tumatanggap ng kanilang boundary sa kanilang mga drivers na 500 pesos daily, nawala rin po yun. So, amin po silang pinautang ng at least 5,000 pesos bawat isa. Ano po? So, yun po ay nagtagal. Merong pasulpot-sulpot na kami pinabibiyahe at hindi pinabibiyahe. At marami nga sa amin sa sektor ang nahirapan. Fortunately, yung amin pong kooperatiba, ako din po ang general manager ng Pandakan Transport Service Cooperative at meron na kaming more jeepneys, isa sa mga naunang napayagan na mag-serbisyo. Pero kahit na ho kami na unang napayagan na mag-serbisyo, problema pa rin ho dahil 50% lang ho ng capacity namin na dati-dati ay 26 ay naging 13 lang. Actually, 12 yung pasahero. Technically, yung ganong dami ng pasahero ay halos talagang hindi ho kakasya. So ang ginawa ho namin, sakripisyo ho para sa aming mga operators, mga drivers. Ayaw ko kung magagalit sa amin ang Department of Labor. We even presented to our drivers na sakripisyo muna. Sa ngayon, hindi namin may bibigay yung... Kasi dati-dati ho, nung walang pandemic, ang sweldo po ng aming drivers, minimum ay 600 pesos. Above ho dun sa minimum requirements ng DOLE. At meron hong 650 at 700 depending sa kanilang qualifications at expertise sa pagmamaneho. So binabaho namin ito sa 400 pesos. Kinausap namin sila kung sino ipapayag ay pagmamanehoin namin sila at yung hindi naman gustong pumayag ay hindi namin sila pipiliting magmaneho. Meron hong ilang hindi pumayag. So hindi ko namin inano at sabi namin doon sa may gusto, sakripisyo lang ito kasi kung yung dati mong kinikitang 600 400 na lang ngayon tiis-tiis lang muna kaysa naman sa walang kikitain. So marami pa rin ho namang nagmaneho at kami ho kahit pa paano nakapagserbisyo. Pero sabi ko nga ho, sapat na sapat nga lang ho yung kita para sa crudo tapos para dun sa kita ng driver. Wala na ho yung para sa kita ng operator na dating may-ari ng sasakyan. Kaya nung humingi ho ng aming ng proposal ng DOTR sa amin na ang alam ko po ay sinadmit sa Congress at saka sa Senado, ang sabi namin, kailangan namin ng ayuda. Una sa fuel subsidy. Kasi talaga napakalaki ho ng aming gastusin sa fuel. Sa isang araw po ay gumagastos kami ng average sa 1,000 to 1,100 pesos in terms of peso value ng aming konsumo sa crudo. At sabi namin, yung mga operators namin na dati-dati binibigyan namin ng 300 pesos daily, kasi nung sila ay operator, meron silang kitang 500 piso na boundary ng kanilang sasakyan. Pinawasan po namin iyon. Yung sasakyan po ay ng kooperatiba. Sorry po, naputol, may tumawag po kasi. Yung sasakyan na pag-aari na ng kooperatiba, ay binibigyan na lang namin sila ng 300 kasi yung repairs and maintenance ng units ay yung kooperatiba na ang gumagastos. So, ito ay sa awa ng Diyos naman ho ay nakayanan ho namin, pero ang problema ho namin ay yung pagbabayad ng amortisasyon sa loan sa DBP o sa land bank, yung ibang mga kooperatiba namin. So we requested na baka magkaroon ng moratorium. I understand dun sa Hill as One ay pinayagan naman po yata na wala mo ng bayad for 2 months ng Bangko Sentral of the Philippines nung amortisasyon para dun sa inutang na loan namin sa bangko. Kami ho ay nagpapasalamat doon. Nabanggit din ho sa amin doon sa batas na sa Joint Committee hearings ay talagang ipinasok po ni Senator Mig Zubiri ng kanyang staff na nakalagay po doon yung cooperative na word o yung lahat po ng tulong ay sa transport cooperatives o cooperative na word para lang ho talagang may specify na yung tulong ho ay hindi lang para sa private sector kundi ho kasama ho ang transport cooperatives o yung mga kooperatiba. So yun ho ang problema. Hanggang ngayon, ganun pa rin ho ang problema. Ang isang problema pa ho, double whammy, ay kaya nga ho kami nagre-request sana na makausap din ho ang DOTR at saka LTFRB. Kasi po, in-implement po nila ngayon yung route rationalization program na binigyan po nila ng importansya na yung mga sa main routes, ang tatakbo na ho ay mga buses lang. Ang dami po naming mga jeepney operators na tumatakbo dito sa mga main routes na ito na naapektuhan. Hanggang ngayon, hindi na pinapayagan ng LTFRB na tumakbo dahil sila ho ito identified na bus route. Kahit nga po yung mga umuutang na para sa modernization program transport cooperatives, nahinto po dahil po yung ruta nila tatamaan na ng bus route. Ang sabi ng DPP, paano pa kayo makabayad? Hindi na kayo pinapayagan doon sa rutang yun. So sumulat din po kami sa DOTR at LTFRB na sabi naman namin na sana pagbigyan kami, ina-upgrade na nga po namin yung aming sasakyan. Magmula sa lumang jeepney, ginagawa na nating modernized, parang minibus na nga, aircon pa, na baka nang po pwedeng payagan doon sa bus route itong mga modernized na jeepneys. Pero until now, pinadala ho namin yata yung bandang Mayo pa, ay hindi pa ho na-actionan ng DOTR sa LTFRB. So ito yung mga problema. At yung unti-unting gradual na pagbubukas ng mga ruta, malaking bagay ho yan. So marami pa rin ho sa amin sa transport sector ng mga drivers ang wala pa hong kita hanggang ngayon. Dahil marami pa hong mga ruta ang hindi pa binubuksan ng LTFRB para makapagserbisyo sa bayan. Yun lang po, Senator Mixabiri.
Salamat Sir Vic. Maraming salamat po at rest assured gusto po namin kayo asahan na we will take this up sa DOTR lalo na sa budget hearing kasi budget hearing po namin na yun. Nandiyan kami ni Sen Risa at tatanungin po namin sila kung anong may tutulong nila sa mga hinanaing ninyo po sa transport cooperatives. I'll make sure that Secretariat will prepare a briefer for us, for me and Risa and the members of the Oversight Committee, yung mga kalalabasan dito sa mga pinag-uusapan natin para pagdating sa mga government agencies, take up po namin ito sa kanila.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Sir Vic. Ma'am Risa?
Salamat, Chair. Sir Vic, follow-up question lang po dahil batid po talaga namin lahat yung pagdurusang dinadaanan nitong nakaraang kalahating taon ng sektor ninyo. Naalala ko po nung halos magsimula pa lang yung pandemic tsaka quarantines, may advocacy na po yung mga kababayan natin sa labor movement at particular sa transport sector din na kung pwede daw magkaroon ng service contracting. Yung gobyerno na po ang at least pansamantala mag-hire dun sa mga nung una isinaisang tabing mga bus at hanggang ngayon ng mga jeepney para sabay mas maluwalhati makarating sa trabaho yung mga nagsisimula ng bumalik sa trabaho at makapaghanap buhay ulit yung mga lalo na yung mga jeepney drivers. Sa tingin niyo po ba, Sir Vic, sa panahon ngayon ay pwedeng pa rin maging bahagi yun ng solusyon sa dinadaanan ng inyong sektor?
Yes ma'am, malaking bagay po yun. Actually, narinig po namin yan. I think kasama nga ho yan yata doon sa subsidy na binigay para sa DOTR. Amin pong inaantay yan. Sana nga ho talaga mapagbigyan ng konting prioridad lang. Yung nasa cooperatives, so tungkol dito. Malaking bagay po yan. Kasi kung part nung kita ay manggagaling sa gobyerno because of the subsidy, hindi na ho kami talagang hirap po kami ma'am sa totoo lang sa pagkita para mapagtama lang kasi kung tutusin po ngayon pa nga medyo nagkakaproblema kami kasi ito yung 1 meter na distance between passengers. Sa amin ho kasi sa bus at sa mga jeepneys, ang ano ho namin is kung tatlo yung sakay, yung babakante lang yung nasa gitna niya, social distancing na sa amin yun. Pero kung susukatin mo, wala hong 1 metro yun. Kalahating metro lang. O siguro, more than kalahating metro. Pag ginawa mong 1 metro, yung tatlong sakay na pasahero, ito na lang ang sasakay. Malaki yung problema kasi sa amin, yung dati-rating 11 na lang, walo yan at magiging 7 ay baka hindi na ako kami makapagpunta sa totoo lang kasi hindi na ako kikitain yung sweldo ng driver at saka yung rudo na gagamitin natin. Maraming salamat po, dear Senator.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Vic. Nadidinig ko po kayo, nadidinig po namin kayo lahat. So, makikipagtrabaho din ako kay Chair Migs gaya ng sinabi niya sa pag-follow up sa DOTR tungkol dito sa advokasiyang service contracting. At para i-combine na rin yan dun sa yung sinabi ni Sec Mon din kanina na patuloy na pag-obserba ng mga health protocols habang sabay binubuksan dahan-dahan ulit yung iba't ibang sektor sa ating ekonomiya. Salamat po, Sir Vic. Ingat po.
Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Sir Vic. Siguro, we have one more sector that we'd like to ask. Medyo natamaan din dito sa ating pandemya. But we'll just come up with a time limit na lang siguro, mga kapatid. Dahil yung next topic natin, I think, ang pinakamadugo, yun yung sa BIR. Alam ko halos marami sa inyo ang nagkaroon ng problema, and of course I would like to recognize all those that listed up here and will participate sa mga problema nila sa CTE, sa TIN, etc. etc. So let's quickly also recognize yung sa mga tourism sector. Sir Mon, meron po kami mga kooperatiba na are also engaged in tourism. They are consortium of co-ops yan that are engaged also with tourism. Tamang-tama, yung pondo sa iyo ay para sa cooperatives, MSMEs, and tourism. So talagang swak na swak. May we recognize Ma'am Divina of Nueva Segovia Consortium of Co-ops. And then after which we'll recognize you, Ma'am Professor Ellen after that. So sige Ma'am Divina, you're on.
Thank you so much, Senator Mix. Good morning po, Senator Mix, Senator Risa, our good congressman of the COPNATCO party list, Kong Ben, and the rest of the congressmen who are present in this joint committee meeting. Our Supermon ng DTI, Secretary Mon, and officers of the CDA headed by our good chairperson, Sir Rabanera, and the cooperative leaders. Yes, sir. Actually, meron din mga hinaing ng mga iba't ibang cooperatives that are engaged in hotels at alam po natin na ang kooperatiba ang daming iniisip po para makatulong po sa employment within the grassroots dito sa different communities. At ngayon po marami nang hindi pa nagbubukas ng kanilang mga hotel services at mga iba pang mga activities related to restaurant because of a lot of protocols. At marami pong hindi na rin nakapasok na mga empleyado sa mga iba't ibang mga cooperative that are engaged in the tourism industry. At sana po mabigyan nyo din ng pansin para po maipagpatuloy ng mga different cooperatives that are engaged in tourism activities. So muli po, this is Divina Kemi, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives. Salamat po, Senator Migs.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Maraming salamat. So may we recognize Prof. Ellen. I think you'll also be talking about the labor service cooperatives, no, the issue with them. Sige po, Professor.
Good morning.
May we request, Ma'am Divina, naka-on yata yung microphone nyo. Please mute your microphones. Hi, Prof. Baka may nakabukas siguro na baka may dalawang computer na naka-on dyan sa inyo. You'll have to mute one. Or zero the volume.
Just siguro, if you're gonna record.
May echo pa rin, ma'am, na sa inyo.
The volume. Yung ComSec, tanungin nyo yung
Senator.
Yes, ma'am. Prof, baka may kasama po kayo sa room na nakabukas din yung WebEx. Kailangan po yan off yung mic para hindi po, o yung volume, para hindi mag-feedback. Opo.
Senator.
Yes, Sir Ben. My
I
co-chair.
think hindi pa prepared si Ma'am Ellen, di ba? Hindi pa prepared. So,
Baka hindi pa. Ma'am? Yeah, may problema talaga si Ma'am Ellen.
can
Yes,
I
Sir Ben,
ask,
go ahead.
Senator, can I ask that we recognize si Miss Marlene Sandayan kasi parang umiiyak na po siya sa problema niya sa BIR while waiting for maayos yung si Ma'am Ellen.
Siguro, let's take it by topic siguro, Sir Ben. Kasi we're talking about the pandemic eh. Para we can move out with pandemic response, tapos doon na po tayo sa BIR. Oo.
Alam niya. Okay, sige.
Yeah. Para kasi i-recognize ko yung mga sa problema ng BIR. Ma'am Ellen, siguro mamaya na po kayo. Buksan ko na po yung topic. How about the agri-sector? Kasi I know the agri-sector is also affected by the pandemic. May we recognize one member of the agri-sector to speak on their behalf quickly? Siguro mga 3 minutes para mabilis po yung ating time. Comsec, meron ba tayong ma-recognize from the agri-sector?
Senator?
Yes, yes. Who is speaking? May you please
Attorney
identify
Michael
yourself.
Buligas po, Senator.
Hi, Attorney Michael, yes.
Apo. From SIDC po, from SIDC.
Sige, Attorney Michael, ikaw na ang magsasalita on behalf of the group. Sige, please go ahead, Attorney.
Okay. Regarding po sa agri-sector, mukhang bagamat COVID ang pinag-uusapan po namin, but we are hit by another pandemic on the animal, which is ASF. Yun pong ASF, medyo tinatamaan din po kami sa agri sector, particularly sa livestock, at medyo malaki po ang impact. Kung yung COVID po ay medyo tumatama sa amin, ang malaking tama po, millions of pesos, is the ASF.
Yun yung African swine fever.
Opo,
Para di alam ng tao, alam ng iba.
And honestly, baka po meron din pong possible na anumang magagawa na in support sa mga agri-sector po na tinamaan and affected po ng ASF. Malaki po kasi, for example, halimbawa, ang isang backyard na 300 na ulo, just compute it kung gaano kalaki, tapos in the area, kung mayroon po tayong mga policy po na let's say 1,000 meters ang mako-cover, ay papatayin pong lahat. Automatically, papatayin po lahat ng mga ulo ng mga baboy. Medyo malaki po ang tama po, Senator, honestly, on the agri-sector.
Sige. Noted na yan. Noted namin yan yung sa ASF. That's really a big problem. Marami akong kaibigan na nasa piggery talagang apektado, lalo na sa Luzon. Tarlac area, Pangasinan, Pampanga, Batangas. Yeah, that is a big hit on you. We'll also take the top sa budget ng Department of Agriculture. What steps are they taking to help the cooperatives, lalo na dito sa issue na tong ASF. So thank you, Mikel. Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's move forward. Ma'am Ellen, parang hindi pa yata maayos yung inyong So we can maybe later on, pag naayos nyo na, balikan natin yung topic nyo, Ma'am Ellen. Okay, so with that, with the permission of the body and my colleagues, dito na tayo sa second part ng ating agenda. Ito po yung talagang most awaited part of the agenda. But before that, may I ask our COMSEC to introduce once again the members of the BIR that are joining with us today. My dear COMSEC.
Assistant BIR Assistant Commissioner Larry Barcelo po, sir.
Sir Larry, saan po kayo, Sir Larry? Ayan, I see you, Sir Larry. Hello, sir.
Good morning po, Your Honors. Good morning po sa ating cooperative sector. I am Larry Barcelo. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Legal Service, sir. Joining with me are Assistant Commissioners Maria Luisa Belen of Assessment Service and Assistant Commissioner Clavilina Nakar of our correction service, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sir Larry.
We
Yes, yes.
express our apology, Your Honor, for our commissioner not being able to attend because he's not feeling well, Your Honor.
Now, he has to take care of himself. Medyo delikado na yung magkasakit. Mahirap
Yes, sir.
magkasakit. Bawal pumunta sa ospital. But, Sir Larry, ganito, no? Anyway, may budget hearing naman kami. We can always, I can take this up during the budget deliberations with our good commissioner. Kaibigan ko naman yan, si Sir Billy. Yun lang, Sir Larry, time and again, our number one complaint of the cooperatives are the problems regarding their CDEs, their certificate of tax exemptions, yung mga documentary stamp tax, mga issues on taxation, which under the RA that we passed, which is the cooperative code, the new cooperative code, they are supposed to be tax exempt. Nakita niyo naman, Sir Larry, na itong mga kooperatiba natin, ito po yung mga tinatawag natin na self-help organizations na talagang tinutulungan natin ang kanila mga kababayan. Although I know there are billion peso cooperatives, but these peso cooperatives, their members are not billionaires. Their members are all micro, small, and medium enterprises. Yun nga lang, collectively, yan po yung kinikita nitong maliliit na mga cooperators na ito. But yun lang, we just want to reiterate the tax-exempt provision of the law, which will not be amended, by the way, while I am sitting as a senator in the Republic of the Philippines, will not be amended by create or train. Habang nandyan po ako sa Senado, hindi po mangyayari yun. Hindi po ma-amend yung ating cooperative code in terms of tax exemptions. As tulong na po natin yan sa sektor, which is the one fueling the growth in the countryside, lalo-lalo na sa micro, small, and medium cooperators and enterprises. So Sir Larry, napakahalaga po ito para sa amin, sa ating cooperative sector. And we will be asking certain members, member cooperatives to explain to you their problems, Sir Larry. Baka matulungan nyo naman sila. In fairness to Sir Billy and the BIR, I know on the top level, naintindihan naman po ninyo yung tax exemptions initiatives ng ating cooperatives. Pero nangyayari kasi, Sir Larry, pagdating sa baba, pagdating sa mga RDO, pinahihirapan talaga. I'll be honest with you, no? Pinahihirapan talaga ang ating mga kooperatiba. At umiiyak na rin po yung mga kooperatiba, lalo na yung pandemya. Ang dami pong mga requirements na hiningi ng ating local BIR representatives, which are, to be honest, no, which is also sometimes in violation of the Ease of Doing Business Act. And alam po ni Secretary Mon, I'm the principal author of the Ease of Doing Business. So alam ko po lahat ng provisions na nailagay po namin dyan para mapabilis po ang transaksyon sa lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno, katulad ng BIR. So maybe we can ask the PCC. Let's do a briefer muna. Sir Gary, I know you're gonna come up with a presentation on the tax issues of the cooperative sector. Mabuti muna tayo, macro muna, para makita ni Sir Larry yung mga problema, and then we will ask different cooperatives, we'll recognize different cooperatives, Sir Larry. Okay, Sir
Sir.
Larry, you are now, you have the floor, sir.
Salamat po, Senator Migs. Bali, umpisahan ko lang po by giving an overview as to the list of issues that we have forwarded to Commissioner Dulay. At isi-share
Gary,
ko lang po muna.
you don't have any picture. Your video is closed, or you will share a screen.
It's on.
Sir Gary.
It's on, Senator Migs. On.
Okay. Maybe you can turn it on and off again, Sir Gary, dahil hindi namin nakikita. Or ako lang ba hindi nakakita sa inyo? Okay. Sige po. Maybe you can share your screen already with the presentation.
I don't have a presentation ready, Senator Mix, but I have a list of the issues that we brought to the attention of Secretary Dulay. Babanggitin ko po para to start
Please
off the
proceed. Please
discussion.
proceed, Gary. Please proceed.
Yes. The first issue that we brought to Commissioner Dulay's attention is, I'll read it verbatim na po. We humbly submit that for the application for the issuance or revalidation of the certificate of tax exemption, the submission of the certified true copy, first of all, of the certificate of compliance issued by CDA. Secondly, the certificate of registration, also with CDA, and the original copy of the certification under oath of the list of cooperative members should suffice. Again, this is for the purpose of the issuance of the certificate of tax exemption. And related to that, we are requesting that the requirement for the submission of the individual TINs, the tax identification numbers of cooperative members, be removed from RMC 102-2016. Specifically, considering that there is no requirement under Articles 60 and 61 of RA 9520 or the Cooperative Code of the Philippines to submit the TINs of members of cooperatives. Yan po ang unang issue, Senator Mix. Ang pangalawa ay, in accordance with Article 61 also of 9520, and specifically based also on the decision of the Supreme Court in the Dumaguete Cathedral Cooperative case, that the interest on cooperative members' savings and time deposits maintained in cooperative shall not be subject to final withholding tax. Yan po yung pangalawa. Ang pangatlo ay, in accordance also with Article 61 and the basic rules of statutory construction, that no documentary stamp tax be imposed on transactions between the cooperative, between any one cooperative and its members. Again, in relation to Article 61 of 9520, Senator Mix. Ang pang-apat po ay that cooperatives as employers not be assessed income tax on their counterpart contribution of SSS, Pag-ibig, and PhilHealth contributions. Since the National Internal Revenue Code, specifically Section 32-B-7-F, clearly provides that GSIS, SSS, Medicare, and Pag-ibig contributions, as well as union dues of individuals, are excluded from gross income. And then panghuli, that cooperatives not be assessed the 1% and 2% creditable withholding tax on isolated purchases from non-regular suppliers, since the latter are not treated as regular purchases from suppliers, from whom the cooperatives are obliged to withhold creditable withholding tax. Ito po, Senator Mix, ang 5 issues that we indicated in our letter to Commissioner Dulay. And I remember I'm not so sure if I think Edwin, we furnished the office of both committees. I'm not so sure really. I think we did, di ba?
You're right, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can I ask the COMSEC, if you did submit it to the COMSEC, Gary, para mapadala nila sa akin na yun?
I think so. Edwin, please confirm that we had submitted. No?
Yeah, please. We'll ask my staff as well to please have them print one here for me. I can
Yes,
be guided.
Yes, Senator.
Before we recognize, okay lang kung Ben at sa mga kasama natin, bago natin siguro ma-recognize ang ating mga kooperatiba, maganda siguro pakinggan natin anong mga hakbang na ginawa o gagawin ng ating BIR para hindi po tayo mawala sa train of thought ng mga dinabas po ni Sir Gary. Sir, Larry, no, for the BIR side, matagal na namin itong hiningi yung tin submission kasi alam mo, meron tayong mga agri-co-ops na ito po yung mga NPA surrenderies, meron pa nga MNLF, meron MILF, yung mga aquaculture, yung mga aqua farmers, yung mga fisher folk, yung mga labor co-ops. Ito po yung mga membro nila po, yung mga laborers. Hindi wala naman po silang di ba, capability sa mga probinsya na makakuha ng TIN. We actually we had forgone that already. And that was a commitment given to us by Sir Billy. Ano po masasabi po ninyo dito sa lima, no? I-ano na natin. Then we'll get confirmation from our member co-ops that are listening today.
Yes, Your Honor. Actually po yung issue about TIN, na-raise na po yan sa BIR during our past dialogues with the cooperative. May mga nagawa na pong circular ng BIR para mabigyan po ng resolution. For instance po, nung nag-issue ang BIR ng RMC na yung CTE po may issue without the submission of the TINs ng mga members, and later na lang po nila i-submit after they get the CTE by just submitting yung mga applications na pwede po isang member na lang ng cooperative yung magkukuha ng applications, and then mag-submit na lang po ng mga any government ID like cedula or voter certification, and then ipo-process na po ng RDO yung mga TINs. Yun pong requirement po kasi ng TIN sa BIR po, pinapalo po ng BIR yung Executive Order 98 series of 1999 po natin na requiring all government agencies to incorporate TINs in all the forms and clearances and other documents that they issue to the transacting public. And meron din pong provision yung ating tax code na nagsasabi po for tax identification purposes nga po, kailangan po yung TIN. But we are ngayon po nung naka-receive po kami nung itong concern again, nag-deliberate po kami ng mga kasama kong assistant commissioners, and we're planning to issue para pong clarification dito, a revenue memorandum circular that will clarify all the clarifications and questions raised by ating mga pong cooperative sector on the requirement po ng CTE, yung mga sinasabi po na exemptions na should be really
exemptions on interest savings, yung doc stamp tax, opo.
Ang DST po, for instance, talaga naman po walang DST pag it is with a transaction with members. Nakalagay naman po talaga yan sa ating cooperative code. Yung interest income po nung deposit or yung share contribution nung members. Yun po, ang siguro po ang gagawin po ng bureau is we will issue po a revenue memorandum circular, answer, question and answer type po para po malinaw.
Sige, para mapabilis po tayo, Sir Larry, no? Sir Ben, sinong unang gusto mong ipa-recognize tungkol sa tax problem nila para yung binanggit mo kanina? Sir Ben, si Ma'am Marlene? Sige, Sir Ben, ikaw na muna mag-preside dito sa portion na to. Kasi alam mo, ikaw yung may alam dun sa mga may hinanakit at yung talagang galit na galit. Sige, Sir Ben, ikaw na po.
Sige. Thank you so much, Senator. Your statement na habang yung Senate will not allow na mawala yung position. Palakpan po tayo dyan, mga cooperative leaders. Very inspiring statement, commitment, Senator. We are very happy on that. I hope the BIR will support the statement of the Senator. Can we acknowledge, hindi po dito sa meeting natin, si Ma'am Marlene Sindayen, the CEO of Lopez. Ilang araw na iyak. Sige.
Magandang umaga po sa magigiting nating senador at salamat po kung Ben Maraming salamat din po, Senador Zubiri, dahil doon sa aking hiling, mukhang napadali yung ating pag-uusap. Kami po sa Nova Desi ay 44 years na po kami. At kung sasabihin natin, ano yung ginawa namin sa pandemic, 22 million po ang nilabas namin para sa mga member at nasa paligid namin. Pero ito po yung matinding kalaban namin, yung 12.2 million na nakaambang singilin sa amin ng BIR dahil daw hindi kami nagkakaltas ng final tax doon sa interest on capital ng miyembro. So maliwanag naman po na nakasaad sa 9520 na hindi kami dapat magkaltas kasi exempted po ang kooperatiba. Pinaliwanag ko po ito sa RDO Region 28, palaging sinasabi niya na magkaiba ang ating libro. Ang 9520 para sa kooperatiba, ang revenue regulation ay para sa BIR. So maliwanag din po na nakalagay sa kanilang RMC 2010 na yung kooperatiba ay exempted sa final tax. So ang sabi niya po, kami kasi nag-i-implement dito, baka kailangan doon na sa taas pag-usapan. Kasi po, parang 56% po ng collection namin nawala sa Nova Desi. Hindi ho kami nagpapabaya sa aming membership. Pero kung sisikilin pa kami ng 12.2 million, mukhang hindi na namin kaya. Kasi marami naman kanina yung pinaliwanag na parang kami po yung mga taong nagsisikap, naniniwala sa sarili. At kung titignan nyo, bilyonaryo na po ang Nova Desi. 1.2 billion na po ang aming share capital. Pero pag dinivide mo yan sa individual member, nasa 26,000 po ang average. Kaya sana hindi mo nakikita yung kabuuan, tinitingnan pa rin po yung paano po ito pinaghahati-hatian ng karaniwang tao. So yun yung problema namin kasi hanggat wala daw malinaw na pagbaba sa kaya yung bisita ngayon si Assistant Commissioner Larry, kayo po yung pag-asa namin kasi yung nasa baba po ay nahihirapan talaga kami. Sana po ay makita nyo na kung ang gobyerno tumutulong sa mga maliliit na negosyante sa kooperatiba, hinihiling ko po sana sa panahon ng pandemya, hindi ho kami inangarak ng BIR. Malaki ho ang focus namin sa aming operation. Pero kung from time to time ipapatawag kami, malaki hong epekto ito sa aming araw-araw na buhay. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you, Ma'am Marlene. Siguro, Sir Larry, yes, Commissioner Larry, Assistant Commissioner Larry, is it possible po na pwede ba tayo magkaroon ng parang partnership with the JCOCC, itong committee na to, Oversight Committee? Pwede ba kayong mag-assign ng tao for these concerns para diretso na, kasi kung sa RDO sa ground level lamang ang complaint, hindi gumagalaw po eh. That is the honest to goodness of it, the honest to goodness truth of it. Hindi talagang gumagalaw, tapos it is prone pa to all sorts of transactional mas maganda siguro dun mismo sa taas, dyan mismo sa inyo, baka we can come up with a team sa inyong side, Sir Larry, sa mga complaints nila. And these are valid complaints, these are valid concerns that on the top level, okay po kayo na hindi na hihinga ng tin, hindi na po itatax ito. Pero pagdating sa baba, hinahihirapan pa rin ang ating mga RDO. Para diretso na po kami, pag nagsumbong sila sa amin, sa Oversight Committee, yan naman ang trabaho namin ni Sir Ben as being members of the Oversight Committee, Sir Risa, Ma'am Risa, and all the other members. We will now forward it to your office for action para mabigyan mo po ng guidance yung sa baba. Pwede ba yun, Sir Larry?
Pwede po yun, Your Honor. Tingin ko nga po mag-work out po na maayos yun kasi actually po, meron na po kaming kinrate na technical working group for our regional office and technical working group as well sa national office po. Kami nga po nila Assistant Commissioners Malu and Ma'am Baby dito sa national office para po i-address po agad yung mga issues ng cooperatives. Aside from doon po sa technical working group na yun, yung suggestion po nyo, Your Honor, acceptable po sa amin.
Thank you, Sir Larry. Siguro gawin natin yung sa technical working group mo. If you don't mind, no, kung sana hindi po kayo magalit sa amin, ginagawa lang namin ang aming trabaho. At alam ko ginagawa nyo din yung inyong trabaho. But if you don't mind, we'll send you the complaints kasi marami po sila. Siguro today we'll only be able to tackle a handful. Sir Ben, nandito din po yung siguro sino po Sir Ben ang next gusto mong i-recognize?
From Cebu, Macario Quevedo, ito ang pinakamalaking kooperatiba sa Cebu at saka ang laki-laki ng problema nila. Can we give him the chance?
Senator Risa is raising her hand lang. Maybe recognize Senator Risa then to the cooperative. Yes, ma'am.
Salamat, Chair. Briefly lang, gusto ko lang suportahan yung suggestion ni Chair Migs at magpasalamat dun sa tugon, very proactive na tugon ni Sir Larry. Kilala ko rin matagal, Chair Migs, yung Nova Desi, sina kasamang Marlene, and I'm sure that they really appreciate yung very concrete proposal ng chair at yung tugon ni Sir Larry. And I hope na habang magpatuloy at umapot yung partnership na yun between our Oversight Committee, of course with Co-Chair Rep. Ben, at saka yung BIR, na maging bunga niyan ay mga rules na ibababa rin for the guidance ng mga RDO para kahit sa level nila, makaresponde na rin sila in a positive manner sa mga ganitong problema ng ating mga partner co-ops or even prevent na future such problems ay mag-arise pa. So salamat Chair at salamat kay Sir Larry.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. So let's continue. Sir Ben, sino po yung next natin pakikinggan? For which cooperative is this? Cebu People's Cooperative, ito ba yan?
But before I acknowledge Senator, gusto ko rin i-manifest, I really appreciate yung statement mo kanina. I really support yung proposal na para matulog sa yung mga problema. I'm very happy to hear from you na malaking tulong yon. I really support. I really support. Thank you so much. Can we acknowledge Mr. Quevedo, Mr. Chair, Mr. Quevedo?
Yes, Mr. Quevedo, atong higala nagikan sa Cebu. Asa na mo, sir? You can now, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Kong Ben, and to Senator Contiveros also, and BIR, at saka sa mga co-op leaders. Thank you for this opportunity to share our concerns also with our cooperatives. Senator, is it all right to share my presentation?
Yes, please do. This is your opportunity, sir.
Okay, thank you, Senator. This is my presentation regarding our co-op. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to present our concern to the movement and to the Senate and the House of Representatives. I would like just to share yung mga concerns namin at saka bago doon, ang co-op namin is already 47 years. We've been serving for sa urban poor, karamihan at sa mga farmers and fisher folks. So we've been operating for 45 years. Every 10 years and 15 years, so we already done our two surveys with contracting with the NATCO Federation and the CODIS Federation. So and we discover na talagang job and livelihood opportunities ang pangangailangan ng aming mga members. In fact, during that time when we applied for the CTE, nahirapan kami, tinanggal na namin yung business namin sa labor dahil hindi kami binigyan ng CTE because of that purpose. So tinanggal namin. Actually, that's the biggest opportunity for the members na walang trabaho na mapagbigyan namin ng trabaho sa lahat ng mga agency sana ng ating government. Pero para lang mabigyan kami ng CTE, tinanggal namin yung business na yan. through representative assembly. Ang livelihoods, ito yung pinaka-importante na pangangailangan din ng mga members namin since karamihan sa kanila walang trabaho at gusto nila magkaroon ng mga negosyo kahit maliit man lang magsimula. 71% of our members talaga, Mr. Chair, ito yung pinaka-ano nila na sabi nila we're able to provide the financial literacy, means of livelihood, technical support sa mga negosyo nila, at saka importante yung additional capital, at saka yung savings na napapalaki ng kooperatiba dahil sa mga savings ng mga membro, hindi dahil sa kinikita ng kooperatiba sa aming mga negosyo. So, at yung mga pag-address namin sa kanilang mga basic needs. Yung pag-address natin sa basic needs nila, ito yung ginagamit namin as mitigants para hindi sila maging delinquent. So pag nagka-problema sila, kami yung nag-support sa kanilang additional pangangailangan nila financial upang hindi na magalaw yung kapital nila, kami na nagbabayad sa hospital at sa adin nilang pangangailangan. So ito yung mga nakikita ng sa ating mga membro. 72% ng mga member natin are self-employed, 80% mga may asawa na, 17% karamihan naglo-loan shark, no? At saka 35% talagang kung hindi pinahiram ng friends and relatives ay feeling nila ignored silang mga tao. So sa habang kami ay nagko-comply sa mga requirements ng BIR upang ma-release yung aming CTE, we were able to pay 4 billion, no? Yung mga loans namin, mga ganyan yung mga loans natin na na-release sa mga members natin, umabot yan ng 4 billion 530,000 for 5 years na operation namin. Kasama na doon yung sa mga capital ng negosyo at saka yung hospitalization at saka emergency loans ng ating mga members. Sa kooperatiba din, marami tayong binabayaran ng mga taxes. Hindi naman tayo nag-ibid ng mga taxes. Binabayaran din natin kung ano yung tingin natin ay talagang dapat tayo magbabayad. We're able to pay for 5 years, 13 million, no, pesos for yung various taxes na sinisingil sa atin ng local government at sa BIR. Kooperatiba rin natin, we were able to extend employment sa ating area of operation at nagbabayad tayo ng mga contribution. We're trying to comply lahat ng mga kailangan ng empleyado. Siyempre, kooperatiba tayo, dapat compliant tayo sa dapat tatanggapin ng ating mga empleyado. So yun ang mga remittance natin, 17 million for 5 years. At hindi lang ito dahil we are working with the community ko kasi kami, Senator, kaya we're trying to partner with DSWD para mapadala namin doong mga serbisyo ng DSWD doon sa aming mga members at saka non-members in the community. Pati yung nasa yung livelihoods, pumunta din tayo kasi nakipag-usap tayo sa mga kung anong matulong natin sa mga inmates na palabas na doon from sa loob ng mga priso. So nagkaroon din tayo para bigyan sila ng livelihood at saka magiging preparado sila pag nasa community na sila. Tayo din yung tumatulong sa Department of Agriculture at saka ECPC upang mapaabot yung mga tulong, no, na binibigay ng gobyerno doon sa mga farmers natin sa bundok. Hinahatid natin doon mismo sa kanila dahil mahirap yung mga transportation. At saka yung pagbinta ng kanilang mga gulay, kinukuha natin doon. We're supporting the logistic support sa kanila upang tayo na mismo ang mag-facilitate na mabinta nila yung mga produce nila doon sa bundok through the Kadiwa program ng government.
Sir Quevedo, kasi yung topic natin na yun, although mahaba itong presentation mo, diretso na po tayo sa issue ng taxes.
Sige, okay.
Opo. Kasi we might run out of time.
At saka sa mga members natin, and we are also employing yung sa transportation business natin dahil mga napiktado yung mga drivers at saka mga kasamahan natin. Sana maka-enjoy tayo ng mga tax exemption dito. So ang concern namin, Senator, dahil after the end of the year ng operation natin, ito yung ginagawa natin, binabalik natin sa mga membro ang lahat natin ng kinikita. At yung may maiwan man ay dinidisip natin dito sa education, community, members benefit at saka general reserve fund. Ibig sabihin wala nang iwan nakikita sa atin after the end of the year. So despite this, yung mga compliance na ginagawa natin, at saka meron na kaming CTA during that time, gano'n pa rin ang ginagawa. ng BIR sa amin, nahihirapan din kami sa mga tax exemption. So ito yung mga hinaing namin na pinaabot namin, pero at the lower level, yung sa RDO, we really try to comply lahat ng kinakailangan nila hingin nila sa amin. Binibigyan namin sa kanila upang mapagbigyan kami ng mga expert tayo sa yung mga taxation na hiningi nila. We're charged 69 million, Your Honor. So ibig sabihin, saan namin kukunin yan kung ang lahat ng kinikita ay binabalik na natin sa member? So hindi namin kaya ibigay yung mga savings nila, hindi namin kaya ibayad sa BIR yung share capital nila. Kasi yun lang ang naiwan sa cooperative by every end of the year. So, Your Honor, ito yung issues namin. So, siguro hindi ko na to basahin, Your Honor, yung pinaka-ano namin. Kung ang isang kumpanya ay kinoconsider na isang kooperatiba, paano na yung isang kooperatiba na hindi kinoconsider na tax exempted? So yun ang concern namin, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
So, yung concern na yan, Mr. Quevedo, padala natin yan sa ating mga kaibigan sa BIR, kay Sir Larry. So, please submit that presentation and your concern sa committee para mapadala po natin yan sa kanila.
Yes, Your Honor.
Dagan salamat, sir. Dagan salamat. So, we'll also recognize nandito sa aking listahan ang Bohol Provincial Employees Multipurpose Cooperative. May we recognize the Bohol Provincial Employees Multipurpose Cooperative. Sino po ang magsasalita sa kanila, Comsec?
Sir, wala pa po naka-onboard ngayon, sir.
Sa kanila wala pa?
Opo, wala.
Okay, naka-line up din po yung Marinduque Diocesan Development Co-op. Ito po yung problema sa assessment na tax, assessment of tax payables.
Sir, sa
Nandiyan na po
Marinduque
sila?
po si Miss Marisol Mabute po.
Sino po? Si Ma'am Maricel.
Mabute.
Ma'am Maricel, I see you. You are now recognized. Limit na lang natin dito sa issue muna the BIR para marami po tayong ma-recognize na iba. Sige Ma'am Maricel, you're on.
Good afternoon, Senator.
Good afternoon po.
Opo, again kay Senator Risa Antiveros. Regarding din po sa problem namin sa BIR, bali ganito po, yung sa tax exemption namin na nagkaroon kami ng penalty dyan, doon po sa submission na under oath, na ang ano namin, hindi naman talaga well-oriented ang co-op dito sa Marinduque. So nag-charge po kami ng 40,000 as compromise penalty. Actually, before po 2 months po, kami nakapag-submit na ng para sa renewal ng aming tax exemption. Kasi medyo natagalan po dahil nga doon sa mga teams na required. So, kinuha pa namin lahat-lahat. And
So,
then,
ganun pa rin po, Ma'am Maricel? Ganun pa rin ang problema. Nag-request sila ng team sa inyo, kaya natagalan. Tapos dahil natagalan, pinailan kayo ng penalty.
Opo, para doon sa compromise penalty po yun. Actually, ganito po ang naging problem namin is ang aming documents dito sa RDO. Kumbaga, hindi po sila, nag-submit kami lahat ng mga under oaths, sinabihan ako na tinatambakan sila ng bulky na documents. So, ang ina-analyze lang po namin, hindi rin sila po, hindi rin malinaw sa kanila yung process para sa renewal and then para sa application for new na tax exemption. Kasi po yung mga documents, nagtataka sila, bakit sasabit ng gano'n. Then, na-pending po ang aming documents, natagalan sa kanila. So, na-stack dahil nga po doon sa 50,000 na capital share, pagka daw po meron ng capital share ng gano'ng member, hindi na po siya tax-exempt ang co-op. Ang ginawa po namin, kinuha ko yung documents, nagsubmit na naman po kami ulit. Doon sa second time na pag-submit po namin, yun po, pinagdala kami ng letter ng regional office to submit doon yung mga under oaths, yung mga transactions namin. Doon po kami na-file. Sila po yung kasalanan na kaya po natagalan ng aming renewal. So nagbayad po kami ng 40,000 and then sa pag-audit po
Kaya
sa amin,
talaga, no? Kaya
kasi
ng
nga daw po
fees.
tapos na yung aming tax exemption. Opo.
Dave, wala kami.
Hello?
Siya.
Okay na po.
Sige po, ma'am. Online po kayo, ma'am.
Opo. Doon po sa second na submission namin, regional office na po ang nagpatawag sa amin. So kami nag-appear po doon, inayos namin.
Most naman
Then-
magko-comment hindi aware sa mga environmental.
Opo, nagbigay na po kami lahat ng kailangan. And then nung in-audit po kami, kasi nga daw po ay nag-lapse na, charge po kami ng more than na dapat po namin bayaran. Senator, saan po kami kukuha noon? Lalo na po na nagkaroon ng pandemic, ang amin naman pong mga, yung sinasabi na dividend, lahat po ng para sa mga member, na-distribute na po namin yan. And then, nagbigay rin po kami ng mga moratorium sa mga member. So, hindi namin makakaya na bayaran yung ganong amount. So, nakiusap po kami sa chief dito, sa BIR, para po malesen. Kasi po, ang katuwiran hindi pwedeng, hindi kami magbabayad kasi nga daw po ubos ang pondo ng government.
Mama Rizal, siguro hintayin na natin.
Bayad,
Nawawala
pero
kasi si
sa pakiusap po namin na lessen yung amount.
Mama Rizal. Sandali lang po kasi wala po sa screen si Sir Larry ng BIR. May we ask the BIR to be present, Sir Larry, because we want you to take note of these complaints, no? Para ma-action na. Sir Larry, no? Take
Yes,
note po kayo itong mga
yes, Your
complaints ng
Yes, Your Honor.
Marinduque Diocesan Development Cooperative. Again, the same problem. Dahil hinihingan sila ng TIN, hindi sila maka-comply kaagad. Tapos dahil dyan, na-penalize sila. And then now they're being assessed.
Opo, nagbayad po kami. Na-penalize po kami. And then sa audit, ang laki din po ng pinababayaran sa. Ang ano ko lang po kay Sir Larry, na ano po ba yon? Dapat po ba na mula sa taas, hindi pa kasi, yung mula sa region, pinadala sa akin yung paper sa pinadala papunta dito sa RDO. Yung pong process na pag-asikaso ng mga taga-BIR dito sa mga co-op na nag-a-apply for tax exemption, at the same time para sa renewal. Kasi po ay sila yung nadahilan na pending po yung documents. Hindi po sila orienting po sa process Kaya ganun po yung naging problema namin.
Yes, ma'am. Kaya nga po ngayon po yung grupo namin po sa National Office will be coming up with revenue memorandum circular para po
No, it's gone. Is it us or them, guys?
Actually, Senator, may sulat po kami sa iyo. Pinadala po namin dito sa Provincial Development Specialist na dito sa amin, CDA, kay Mr. Edel Saher. Regarding nga po doon sa church sa amin na 600 plus thousand pinababayaran ng BIR. Yun lang po doon sa 2 months na nag-lapse ang aming tax exemption. Renewal po yun. Although po, pinaliliwanag po sa atin ng BIR dito.
Yes.
Yes, Your
Sige,
Honor.
Ma'am Maricel, pasapin na po natin si Sir Larry para makuna natin ang commitment niya na tignan po nila.
Apo. Yes, Your Honor. Titignan po namin yan.
Sige, thank you po.
And baka po ilagay na lang po namin sa Revenue Memorandum Circular as part of the clarifications po ng BIR. Kasi nga po, yung mga officers po sa baba, maybe implementing yung to the letter yung provisions of the law on non-compliance with, for instance, yung submission ng TIN sa tax code po, meron po kasing mga imposable penalty nga po pag hindi nakapag-submit. But mayroon din naman pong mga exceptions yan kung may mga difficult interpretation or situation na pwede pong hindi mag-impose ng penalty on the part of the taxpayer na hindi niya masyadong iintindihan or na comply because of difficult situation. So ika-clarify na lang po namin yan sa RMC, Your Honor.
Sige po, salamat Larry. No? Just Maricel, before I recognize our distinguished Vice Chair. Maricel, siguro yung ano lang, yung isulat nyo lang lahat. Siguro magsulat lang po kayo, address to the committee namin, para i-forward po namin yan kay Sir Larry.
Ay, Senator, meron na po kaming letter sa iyo dated July 6.
Meron na, okay. O,
Opo,
i-forward na lang
meron
po
po
namin
kami
yun.
pinadala. Opo. Kasi regarding nga po dun sa problem namin, ang laki nitong pinapabayaran sa amin. Pero,
Sige, Ma'am Maricel,
mayroon po
ipapadala
kami-
ko sa kanila.
Opo. Meron po, nagbayad na po kami kasi meron pong, ang tawag dito, yung time lang na inaalaw sa amin. So, nagbayad na pilitan po kami, pero malaki pa rin po yun. So,
Okay.
compare doon sa income ng co-op. Opo.
Yes. No, naintindihan po namin yan, Ma'am Maricel. So, ifo-forward namin kay Sir Larry. We'll ask Larry and his group to come up with a report on the actions taken dito sa mga complaints na ito. Sige. Ma'am Risa,
Okay.
you're
Saka po,
recognized.
Senator,
Yes, opo. Opo.
marami po dito sa Marinduque na ganyan po problema. At marami po yung pumupunta dito na papatulong na co-op sa amin. Paano nga po sila makapag-renew, makapag-apply for tax exemption?
Sige.
Napakalaking problema po dito.
Gagawin na lang namin ni Sir Ben dito sa Oversight Committee. We will ask both our secretariats from the House and the Senate to compile all the pending, with the help of the CDA, no, Chairman, tulungan nyo kami dito, Chairman. With the help of the CDA, all the cooperatives that are still waiting their CT from the BIR para ma-fast track natin sa BIR ang mga complaints na ito. We need the exact list. I know there's about 20,000 cooperatives. If there's 5,000 plus that are still pending applications with CT, we would want it, Chairman, para sa ganun may tulak po natin to sa taas sa BIR, no, under the
By all
oversight.
means, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you very much. So maraming salamat, Ma'am Rizal. Thank you. We'd like to recognize Ma'am Risa.
Salamat,
Thank you
Chair.
very much, Senator.
At pasensya, sorry ma'am. Pasensya, Chair, at pasensya mga kasama. Kailangan ko pong mauna kasi may meeting ngayon. Actually nga sa isang Tourist Guides Cooperative. So yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina, Chair, sa ating nagsalita from the tourism co-ops. Pero gusto ko lang pong magpasalamat, Chair, at sa inyo pong lahat mga kasama. Lastly, just to affirm what the Chair said earlier, tulad nung mula nung train law na talagang pinrotektahan namin na huwag buwisan ang mga cooperatives, no, wag bawasan ng tax exemptions ang mga cooperatives. I will stand with the Chair Major Migs to continue to protect that tax exempt status of cooperatives. Ano pa mang mga bagong revenue measures ang aming ikokonsidera sa Senado. And lastly, Chair, yung appreciation ng ulit dun sa sinabi ng several na mga co-op representatives natin. Kasama po si Miss Bernadette ng Mass-Specc, no, na sila mismo nagpo-provide ng sarili nilang stimulus fund. So, madalas nauna pa sa atin sa gobyerno. So, super all the congratulations, mabuhay sa ating mga co-op partners. Maraming salamat, Chair. Salamat, Co-Chair Rep Ben, mga kasama. Ingat po. Stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Risa. You are, if I am Batman, you are Batgirl. Thank you very much. You're the Batgirl of the cooperatives in the Senate. Sige po, ate. Thank you, ate.
Senator.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Kong Ben.
Kasi nga nagpaalam na po si Senator Risa, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks in behalf po sa sector. Kasi alam po niyo, marami po kami inihiling, hindi na lang po sabihin dito, most of those, binigay din niya. Salamat po, Senator. I would like to acknowledge that. Thank you po. Salamat.
So tuloy po natin, mga kapatid. Let's go with the issues on the CT and TIN. Continue with these issues. Soro Ibaba Development Cooperative, SIDC. Malaking kooperatiba din po to, Sir Larry. These guys are based in the Southern Tagalog. You are now recognized. Sino po magsasalita in behalf of SIDC? Soro Ibaba Development Corporation.
Attorney Mikel.
Attorney Mikel, kayo po ulit. What's Attorney Mikel? Comsec, sino po ang ating i-recognize?
Sir, si Attorney Mical po, on board pa rin po siya.
Sige, Attorney Miguel, you're recognized. Nandyan po siya? Or baka kumakain po? Gutom na lahat. You may eat while we are listening, ha? Pwede kayo sumubo kasi ako susubo na rin ako. Hindi pa ako nagbe-breakfast. So, kasi in line of, I will recognize, para alam nyo na po, after Soro-Soro Ibaba Development Cooperative, we will have First Community Cooperative. Then we will have Barbaza Multipurpose Cooperative in Antique. We will have also West Visayas State University Multipurpose Cooperative from Iloilo. We also have Manatal Multipurpose Cooperative of Bulacan. Meron po tayong Minalin na Poultry Raisers and Livestock ng Pampanga and Sacred Heart Credit Cooperative of Bulacan. So, bilisan po natin. Nandiyan na po si Sidsi. Kasi kung wala, balik po kayo sa huli.
Hello, Senator, sorry.
Okay, is that you, Attorney Mikel?
Okay,
Michael? Okay, go ahead po.
Actually po, ang
Tax issues po, tax issues.
Okay. Hello. Ang concern lang naman po ng CDC po, Senator, ay regarding po doon sa withholding tax, the 1%, withholding tax 1% na binabayaran ng cooperative. Medyo malaki, bagamat medyo maliit lang, pero in volume ay medyo malaki din actually. Ang amin lamang actually issue is, hindi ba talaga din sa subject din po sa exemption, sa exemptions po on our part. Sa bagay, meron lang po kasi kaming kumbaga ay medyo nalalakhan lang po talaga on that. Ay yun naman po mga services na binibigay po ng cooperative actually is really for the members. Yun lang po kasi yung issue ng aming aming accountant. So withholding tax of 1%.
So please also write the letter to the Oversight Committee para may pasa din po natin yan sa
I will,
ating mga
Senator.
kaibigan sa BIR.
Sige po.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yung First Community Cooperative of Cagayan de Oro at itong mga silingan, are you ready to also make your quick presentation on tax issues that you're having? Sino po ma'am? COMSEC ang ating representative for First Community Cooperative ng CDO.
On board po si Ms. Susan Ibanez and CEO Edgardo Micayadas.
Sino po sa inyong dalawa, ma'am, sir, ang magsasalita? You have the floor. Kung wala po, nandiyan po? Go ahead po.
Senator,
yes po.
Good morning, Senator.
Saan po kayo, sir? Hindi po kayo nakikita. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, the Honorable Senator Migs Piri.
Good morning, sir.
Honorable Congressman Kanama and the rest of the senators and congressmen around, and to our CDA Chair Rabanera, and to the rest of the COP leaders, no? Ang concern lang namin as what was presented earlier, so parang there's an agreement now regarding sa yung pagsasubmit ng TIN, no? So concern din namin yan kasi parang kung pwede lang sana hindi na ma-part sa parang ma-issue tayo ng certificate of tax exemption if you fail to present or submit the TIN. So yun, isa yung sa mga gusto namin talaga. So as nabanggit earlier, sinasabi na parang may gagawin na RMC kasi in every region, iibang implementation yun. So sana may sa national, may regional memorandum circular na i-issue down, to be cascaded down to the regional level for an uniform implementation. So ang sinasabi kanina is mag-ano ng parang Q&A, pero sana nakalagay din yung RMC para binding yun doon sa mga regional level na mga RDO in various level, no? So yun ang concern namin na yung sa Certificate of Tax Exemption. At kasi maraming mga informal sectors din, fisher farmers, ang mga membro din namin. So, yun ang siguro, Senator, nabanggit na kanina. So, I hope na ma-address talaga yun na maka-issue din ng Certificate of Tax Exemption even if we cannot submit the tin na required ng BIR. That's all, Senator. Thank you. Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, sir. So alam na po ni Sir Larry yan. So hinihingi po nila Sir Larry is basically a national order no para at ibaba dun sa regional level. May we recognize the Barbaza Multipurpose Cooperative. This is from Antique. Faraway Antique. Ito po ay mga kababayan ni Senator Risa. Kapis pala si Senator Risa, no? Kapis yata, Antique. Mga Karaya.
Loren.
Yes, kababayan ni Ma'am Loren ito. Sino po, Comsec, ang ating representative of Barbaza Multipurpose Cooperative?
Sir CEO, Mr. Filimon S. Pares.
Sir Filimon, you have the floor. Nandito po kayo or is he still present? Comsec? Barbaza Multipurpose Cooperative from Antique. Wala pa. Baka mamaya, balik natin siya mamaya. We'd like to also recognize yung West Visayas State University Multipurpose Cooperative. Nandito ba po ang sa West Visayas? Yes, nandyan po. AJ po. What's your name, sir?
I'm also representing the Regional Cooperative Development Council Western Visayas. Medyo may problem po kasi ngayon sa Panay, whole Panay po, lockdown.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Please, you have the floor.
Same with the concern po sa buong Western Visayas. Siguro yung mga renewal natin sa CTE, yung may mga cooperatives kasi na nawala yung mga CTE nila, mga previous CTEs. So for renewal, yun yung problem nila, Senator. Hahanapan pa daw sila ng certificate of or affidavit of loss po sa CTE. So yun po yung mga isa sa mga problema. At saka po yung sa TIN, I'm representing also the school-based cooperatives kasi po may mga members kami na student siya. So yung iba wala pa silang TIN. So yun din yung isang gusto namin na i-question po kung pwede po ma-reconsider.
Thank you, sir. Could you make sure that you furnish the committee your concerns in writing para maipasa po natin sa ating mga kaibigan sa BIR kay Sir Larry? ASAP po, ASAP please. And if you can also represent the region, as you said, you are Vice Chair dito sa Cooperative Development Council natin sa region. So kung may mga concerns yung ibang kooperatiba doon, isama mo na sa sulat mo para ma-actionan natin. Okay, sir? Thank you very much, sir. I mentioned who are the other co-ops that we were not able to recognize, my dear Comsec, na may mga issues, no?
Sir, sa Manatal po, present po sila.
Sino
Sir
po?
Eric Manatal po.
Yes,
Eric
Manatal
Dizon.
Multipurpose Cooperative, sila po ay taga Bulacan, malaking kooperatiba din yan. May we recognize Sir Eric? Sir, you have the floor, sir.
Hello, good morning po. Good morning, Senator Migs. Mas maganda lalaki po pala talaga kayo pagkakaharap. Anyway, thank you so much din kay Kong Ben, kay Secmon, kay Chair Orlan, sa mga workers in government, mga partners po natin sa BIR, and then fellow co-op leaders and volunteers. Magandang hapon po at masaganang buhay po sa ating lahat. So una po sa lahat, ipapasalamat po kami sa opportunity na naibigay para po makapag-input dito sa joint hearing na ito.
Sir, nawawala po yung
Yung
signal
pong
ninyo.
binanggit na
Please,
kanina
sir.
on income tax.
Opo.
Hello? Okay na po, Sen? Okay na po ba?
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay na po, Senator? So, yung first item po ay on income tax. So, at the moment po ay ina-assess po si Manatal and then other co-ops din po for 120 million para po doon sa income tax. So, ito po ay part po noong na-receive po namin na notice for informal conference kung saan po merong naka-attach na computation of tax deficiency. So, na-receive po namin yung NIC more than 600 days after po na ma-receive po namin yung letter of authority. So, we believe po na dapat 180 days lang yung allowed under the rules pagdating po sa pag-conduct ng audit. And we were surprised kasi po na-receive po namin yung communication August 12 sa panahon po na nasa ECQ tayo. Kaya honestly speaking, medyo nabigla po talaga kami, Senator, dahil po dun sa amount na involved. That's only on the income tax. And then next po, we are also assessed for documentary stamp tax. Hello, Senator? So we're also assessed on the documentary stamp tax.
Go ahead, sir.
In the amount of 2.3 million for the issuance of common and prepared shares. Though meron pong existing na tax exemption si Manatal. Number 3, we are also being assessed for value-added tax in the amount of 60 million. Although Manatal is also exempted on the payment of value-added tax. Number 4, Manatal is also being assessed for the deficiency on the expanded withholding taxes on disbursement on purchases to sari-sari store, vulcanizing shop, transportation, toll fee, e-load, and so on. Despite the fact that based on the rule, casual purchases below 10,000 should not be included in the withholding. But yet, we are being assessed for 4.2 million on the expanded withholding taxes. So all in all, we are being assessed for tax deficiency in the amount of 187 million, almost 188 million. Also, another point that we want to raise is on the
Eric, can I get this correctly? Eric, can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Dizon, you are being assessed by how much? I'm hearing hundreds of millions yung mga assessments sa'yo. Hindi lang 600,000, hundreds of millions itong binabanggit mo.
It's 187 million.
Bakit naman po? Bakit naman po kalaki?
Yun nga po, Senator. Pinagtataka po namin. Yun po yung pinagtataka po namin kung why we are being assessed on such a huge amount, considering that we have a tax exemption.
May CTE kayo.
Yes, we have.
Sir Larry, paano ba nangyari yun? May CTE yung mama, CTE yung kooperatiba nila, tapos ganun, may 60 million assessment, may 180 million. Parang you're treating them as a tobacco or a alcohol company by the billionaires. Parang ang hirap. Gusto niyo yata pabagsakin yung kanilang kooperatiba. Kawawa naman, Sir Larry. Hindi naman tama. It's the first time I heard such incredible amounts being slapped on cooperatives, no? Medyo hindi naman tama yan, Sir Larry. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, Your Honor. Basically, Your Honor, yung exemptions are limited to those activities ng cooperative primary and main activities nila as stated in their articles of cooperation. Outside of those activities, Your Honor, outside of those principal or main businesses or activities, under the law, they are taxable. So, hindi ko lang po alam kung ano yung mga items na tinatax ng BIR. Pero yun nga po, no, siguro po since it is in the process of audit, meron naman pong right ang taxpayer to question the audit and state the factual and legal basis for the exemption. Another po na item na the examiners will look into the books ng taxpayers ay yung pong mga activities that income po na outside na doon sa accumulated reserves and net savings of more than 10 million. So outside po doon, beyond 10 million, nagiging taxable po sila. So yun po yung pinaka two main items na tinitingnan po ng examiners. But then again, sabi ko nga po, since it is in the process of audit, meron pong procedures, may due process po dyan. So you can submit all your proof, documents para to question the assessment, the audit being undertaken by our examiners.
Maraming salamat, Sir Larry. Sir Eric, yung business nyo ba, billion bang kinikita ninyo sa kooperatiba nyo?
Sana nga po, Senator, ganun po sana.
What is the purpose of your cooperative? Sir Eric, no, what is the purpose, main purpose of the cooperative, main business?
Hello, Sen.
Go ahead
Lahat
po.
po ng mga business activities is all under the Articles of Cooperation of Manhattan. And all of our transactions are all purely for members only. So we were really shocked how come that we are being assessed doon po sa income tax, withholding taxes, and everything. Ngayon, isa po pinagtataka po namin, Senator, kasi po yung LOA natanggap po namin ay 2018 pa. So that's December 2018 or January 2019 if I'm not mistaken. Pero po yung pong notice for informal conference, natanggap lang po namin siya ng August 12, 2020. So that's almost 2 years na po. So biyan na po siya doon sa ina-allow ng ating law. Ngayon, sumulat na rin po kami sa RDO explaining the facts and the law about our disagreement doon po sa computation of tax deficiency. At sinay po namin doon point by point yung lahat ng mga justification and then lahat po ng aming explanation. Despite the fact po na wala po kaming natanggap na communication prior doon po sa notice of informal conference. Kasi based po doon sa RAMO 1, 2000, dapat po before po na magpe-prepare na ang report for investigation, yung pong RO, dapat po ay kinakausap muna yung pong taxpayer kung agree or disagree. Wala pong nangyaring ganun, Senator, kaya po nabigla kami. But as a gesture of good faith, so sumulat po kami sa RDO at humihingi po kami ng mga facts and law, bakit po kami ina-assess ng ganon. So na-receive po nila yung, nag-appear po kami for notice for informal conference, that's on August 26. So sabi po namin, baka po pwede po, bigyan niyo po kami ng answer tungkol dun po sa aming disagreement. But until the moment, wala pa po kami na-receive na any communication from the Bureau. So yun po yung yung tungkol po doon sa assessment. Then beside po doon, isa pa po sa mga concern namin na Senator on the inclusion on the top 20,000 corporation for withholding of taxes. So, meron na po kaming sulat before pa, October 2, 2016, kay RDO Carlo Salazar. Tinatanong po namin kung ano po ba yung appropriate na alphanumeric code na dapat gamitin namin kung magwi-withheld. Kasi baka po sumusunod na kami doon sa legislation, sinusuportahan po namin yung tax collection, pero ang mangyari pa po ay magbabiolate pa pala kami. So until now po, wala pa po kami nare-receive na sagot kung ano po yung appropriate na alphanumeric code na dapat gamitin ng co-op kapag siya ay na-include sa mga withholding agents. Okay, and then number 5 po, Senator, another concern namin, nabanggit na po kanina ito, on the issuance of TIN. So at the moment po, Senator, nag-apply po kami for e-registration para po sa application ng TIN. So since 2016, marami na pong efforts to get the TIN of the members. Pero talaga po medyo challenge po yun. Kaya kung possible po na ma-remove sana yon doon sa renewal ng CTA, we would gladly appreciate and thank you. Doon po, medyo napakalaking pong kagaanan ito para po sa mga ka-speak. Considering po na yung mga miyembro po namin iba, yung mga nagtitinda lang ng barbecue, ng fishball. So, ang hirap po talaga kumuha ng tin. Iba po, wala naman trabaho. Iba, senior na nga po eh. Nagme-member lang sila para lang at least meron na makuha.
Sige, Sir Eric.
Ano po, Senator?
Sige, Sir Eric, para maiiba naman,
And then next po,
natin. Opo, siguro wrap up muna
Okay
siguro,
po.
Sir Eric, kasi marami pa ang
Sige
apat ng
Okay po.
magbibigay ng ano.
Sige po.
Opo.
Number 6 po, Senator, yung tungkol sa business permit. So mas malaki po ang binabayaran ng mga co-op sa business permit at saka po pinagbabayad din sa real property taxes. Number 7, sa capital gain tax, though exempted po, hindi naman na-enjoy po ng co-op yung creditable withholding taxes on the capital gains tax. So paano po magandang gawin doon para po ma-avail yun ng co-op? And then number 8, yung pong car, kasi po medyo nagkakaproblema rin po ang mga co-op dito kapag mayroon pong disposal ng mga foreclosed property. So baka po matulungan din po at mag-guide properly ang mga co-op kung paano po ang dapat na ruling pagdating po dito sa certificate authorizing registration. And lastly po, Senator, natutuwa po kami na tumanggap ng love letter from the agency. Kaya lang po, nalulungkot lang po kami kapag nakakatanggap kami ng mga love letter na as if na hindi po nagko-complied. Although, complied na po lahat yun. So baka po pwede kung complied na, wala na po sana matanggap na love letter yung mga co-ops para po at least medyo at least naman po lagi kami pagka natutulog na sa gabi. So muli po, thank you so much Senator, thank you Kong Kanama, thank you everybody. Salamat po sa opportunity to share dito po sa experience ni Mata. Thank you po.
Thank you. I'd like to ask our cooperators to send us a list. No, we'll ask Kong Ben and the other members of the Secretariat, lalo na sa CDA, to give us a list of the LGUs that are giving a hard time to our cooperatives para we can write them. Because under the law, maximum 1,000 lang yata ang dapat bayaran dun sa RPT, siguro yung mga business permit and the rest, no? So can I have the list also, Chairman, as part of the list of cooperatives that are having a hard time getting their CTEs?
Yes,
Yes, Chairman, please go ahead.
Honorable Mix, I'd like to tell you this. I've been going around the country, and that the cooperatives nationwide have actually come up with a position paper. Yung kung sinasabi nila yung sa Marindoque, yung kila Eric sa itong Antique, na-record namin po ito. And so that's the reason why we come up with a very strong position paper. And as a journalist po, I have already published this in our newsletter. Ito po, if I may get your email po, I will send this to you. Ito po, for example, ito po yung sabi sa Marindoque, I went to Antique, I went to other areas po, sa Cebu. We have come up with this very strong position paper. Kung, as a statement, sir, I just would like to share this. We firmly believe that the Philippines is the bastion of freedom, where justice rules on like a river and righteousness like a never-ending stream. We stand firm on upholding the tax exemption of the cooperatives by the 18,000 cooperatives nationwide, sir. Pero I just sent to you the position paper, if I may. It's just a 4-page position paper. And I will also mention what you have asked, Senator Mix, yung pong mga, actually, pumunta ako sa Marindoque, nag-iyakan na po ron. Doon sa ibang lugar po, nag-iyakan. Sabi ko, ay, salamat. Nandito ngayon pala ating champion, Senator Mix. I have to tell you this. Thank you so much po.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We appreciate that. So, Sir Eric, yung sulat mo ay padala mo rin sa ating cooperative, sa ating committee, sa Oversight Committee. Next is the Norlu.
Senator, hello, Senator.
Opo, Sir Eric. Yes, go ahead.
Napadala na po namin, Senator.
Good. Sige, I-remind ko lang. Nasa Cagayan de Oro kasi ako
Senator, sorry. So,
Nasa Cagayan de Oro ako, so I only have one staff with me, kaya hindi ko na monitor yung mga sulat na pinadala ninyo. But I will make sure to follow up with my staff. Okay, Sir Eric? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you po.
Next
Thank you po. Senator, thank you so much.
My co-chair, the next will be Norlu Sedek. Mabilis lang po sana. I'd like to adjourn the meeting by 1:30 kasi meron pa kaming budget hearing sa kabila na napaka-importanting department. So I hope that I can get your cooperation. So Norlu Sedek, you are recognized. Sir Ben, ikaw muna mag-preside dahil meron akong liquidity break. Gusto ko na magwiwi po kanina pa. Yan, hindi ko na talaga matigil yan. Yung kaya ko tigilan. Pero yung wiwi, hindi ko na kaya talaga. Okay, ikaw na muna mag-preside. So the next two would like to present to the BIR. Is Norlu Sedek.
Good afternoon, Senator Berry and the other members of the GOC. Maikli lang yung aking sasabihin dito sa tax exemption na ito. Based on our or visits with cooperatives, na-realize namin yung cooperatives, lalo yung viable co-ops, ay extension of the LGUs. Bakit po? Kasi wala na yung nagpapalimos doon sa office ng mayor. Kasi naibibigay ng co-op ang kanilang providential assistance, like for instance, tuition fee, transportation, emergency transportation to their relatives in distant place, in other providential assistance. Kaya one assembly or consultation with the BIR and Ifugao, we also pointed out this role of the cooperatives, lalo yung mga viable co-ops na tumutulong sa mga communities who are also members of the co-op. So I think BIR should also consider these initiatives or efforts of cooperatives by what you call this, doing the ease of doing business or na hindi pahirapan itong mga kilusang bayan. Salamat po and good afternoon.
Thank you so much, Norlo. Thank you so much, and I hope it is noted by the BIR. Madam Kumsik, sino po ang naka-next in line? While waiting po, may I acknowledge from SACDICO?
Sir, Victor po. Victor.
Sige. Ito po, si Mr. Kipo. Next po is Victor. Sige, Mr. Kipo, can we have 2 or 3 minutes?
Thank you, Kong Ben. I would just like magandang hapon po kay Senator Subiri, Kong Ben, and sa lahat po ng congressmen and senators na on board, together with Secretary Lopez and the sister from BIR and the rest of the co-op leaders entire Philippines. We would just like to put on record that we were also assessed by BIR. But before the assessment, I would like to inform everyone that the total amount SACDECO spent or incurred during the pandemic period. We would like to put on record that SACDECO, as a cooperative, has brought out around 42 million during the pandemic. 7 million were used for our employees, assistance and disinfection of our offices. Another 7 million went to our members. And another 27 million went to communities, including our payout for the porpies. So, ito po, 42 million ang na-spend ng SACDECO just for this pandemic. And on one hand, we were assessed by BIR ng 2.9 million. 2.9 million. Yung karamihan, majority of the 2.9 million ay yung final withholding tax, which is an issue that was earlier mentioned by most co-op leaders. So we have contested this. We have contested this assessment by BIR, and we have forwarded the same contest letter to the office of Congressman Ben and to the CDA Region 1. This is very unfortunate that despite the help that we have extended to communities, to our members, BIR still assess us this way. Although the assessment is very contestable, but up to now, the first assessment, the assessment was dated December of 2019. But up to now, despite the letters we have sent them, wala pa pong response ang BIR to our request. We should not be taxed. So yun po. And despite these issues and despite this unfortunate letter that in the form of an assessment by BIR, we still continue our support to communities, especially to our members. Yun lang po, Kong Ben, Senator Miggs. For Senator Miggs, would just like to inform you, Senator Miggs, George Clooney of the Senate, na namatay na po si Jose Pingay.
Oo nga.
I think you were teammates.
Opo. We were good friends. Kasama ko po sa Kongreso.
Yes po.
My first term sa Senate, siya yung kasama namin sa Kongreso.
Namatay po siya noong September 18.
Our condolences. Nagpadala nga kami ng bulaklak. Condolences to the family.
Yes,
very hardworking operator natin yan, leader.
I've seen your flowers, Senator, and again, I will extend your condolences. Thank you. Yun lang po ang aking manifestation. Salamat po.
Salamat. Stay safe and healthy po, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, sino next natin?
Kayo, pagka si Consik, meron na listahan.
Sir, sa Fairchild po.
Fairchild Cooperative, please state your name and you have the floor, sir or ma'am.
Sir Reynaldo Ganyongko.
Sir Reynaldo, you're on deck po.
Kanina nandito siya.
So yes, sa susunod, yung sunod na lang, yung sa Tagum.
Tagum.
Ma'am, wala na po at saka yung Barbasa, wala na po.
Wala na sila.
Yung Barbasa, Tago. Wala na.
Okay, so Fairchild, wala po yung sa Fairchild.
Sir,
Okay,
sa Victo po.
Victo, can we also invite
Mr.
Victo to
Jose
join
de Tablan.
Yes, sir. May you join us, please? Victo?
Tablan.
Mr. Tablan? Kung wala po, ganito na lang siguro. Kung wala naman na sila, hindi po ibig sabihin hindi po natin pakikinggan yung kanilang mga hinanaing kasi we'll ask them to just write us formally COMSEC so that we can work this out with the BIR. And then maybe in our succeeding meeting, we'll ask the BIR to give us a report about these complaints. We'll do that na lang. Ganun na lang gawin natin, Sir Larry, para hindi tayo masyadong matagalan. Alam ko, gutom ka na rin. And I thank the BIR. No? In fairness to them, guys, they're just trying to do their jobs. And of course, what is important lang naman is that the people on the field know the law. That in the law, that cooperatives are generally tax exempt. No, they're tax exempt under the law. So yun lang, Sir Larry. We'll have a second meeting siguro. Baka December, mag-second meeting tayo. Or sorry, mga November siguro. Because I need the documentation from the CDA about the a list of cooperatives that have still pending CTE applications, Chairman. We need that para mapasa natin kay Sir Larry, magawa na natin ng paraan yan. Any other any other colleague of ours who would like to make a comment before we wrap up?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Sino po, ma'am?
Mr. Chair.
Sinong ay, Sir Willie, opo, Congressman Willie, go ahead po.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gusto ko lang i-share sa mga cooperative leaders natin, yung baka hindi pa nila alam yung iba, yung bagong batas natin na actually bago pa lang na-approve yung implementing rules and regulation nito, yung sa GIPSACA Act, yung Republic Act 113211. Dito, may provision dito kasi yung isa yan sa mga problema natin, yung real property tax assessment sa mga structure natin. Lalo na sa mga buildings at saka sa mga bodega. Minsan, napakalaki yung mga assessment na mahirap nang aabutin ng mga kooperatiba natin. Kaya nga, meron tayong provision dyan na i-exempt from real property tax ang mga farm bodegas and especially yung mga bodegas na ginagamit na imbaka ng mga mga kagamitan sa farm, exempted yan sa real property tax. That is the new law.
Thank you for the information, Sir Willie. Salamat po.
Senator?
Yes, Ma'am Celia. Go ahead, please, Ma'am Celia.
Suggestion, sir. We're transacting business. The cooperative has transaction with the BIR. And we would like to experience the ease of doing business. Kasi po, ang napapansin po kasi, sir, namin, our cooperatives are experiencing the loss of documents and the burden on the person to be coordinated with. So yung suggestion, sir, namin, actually we had submitted a position, a suggestion proposal, na sana, sir, sa BIR ay merong dedicated lane at merong pong permanent staff who will entertain the cooperatives. Kasi meron pong pag nagpapabalik-balik yung cooperatives, the first time they submitted documents, pagbalik po nila for following person, yung kanilang concern. So again, ang namin, baka pwede po namang magkaroon ng lane dedicated for co-op and staff or who will address or who will attend to the needs of the co-op sector. Thank you, sir.
Actually, matagal na namin hiningi yan sa BIR. Sir Larry, no? Matagal na namin hiningi yan sa BIR. Panahon pa ni panahon pa ni Kim Henares, panahon pa ni Willie, and even the time of GMA, during the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, we were also able to get their commitment to come up with a RDOs or special lanes dun sa regional office for cooperatives. So, baka pwede natin ma-activate ulit yun, Larry and Sir Larry, and we'll work it out also that the committee will also be your conduit. So, siguro kung may problema po kayo sa BIR, pag sinulatan nyo yung BIR, may reminders to the COPS, copy furnish our committee. Pwede naman yun You can write, di ba? Lagay mo dyan. Sulatan yung BIR sa complaint ninyo, bakit naman po kami na-assess na ganito, bakit naman po kami na Tapos lagay mo sa ilalim, copy furnish, Office of Senator Subiri, and Office of Congressman Ben Canama of the Joint Oversight Committee on Cooperatives. Para meron po kaming kopya ng mga sulat na yan, then we can also double time and follow it up with the BIR. Okay ba yan, Ma'am Celia? And to all the members? So, how about our other colleagues in Congress? They might be ones who want to speak up also. The other congressmen, Sir Ben?
Yes, Senator. Gusto ko lang nating grabe pasasalamat sa inyo. Kasi itong mga issues, ang tagal-tagal na. At tapos ngayon, very clear po sa statement ninyo. That is so po black and white. You are really for the cooperatives. At marami nag-text sa akin ngayon na hindi man sila makapasok for technical problem. Pero they really appreciate po, Senator. Kaya nga, you're really our champion po sa Senado. Kaya nga ulit-ulitin po namin, we really want you to stay in the Senate kasi ngayon lang, parang ngayon marami nag-text sa amin, nakita nila ang liwanag. Just imagine kanina, sinabi mo, gusto down yung mga co-op? Hindi man ninyo, bakit kanyan ang assessment ninyo? Parang very clear po sa puso na talagang para po kayo sa kooperatiba. Maganda yung suggestion mo, tulatan ng BIR, copy for this po kayo. I think they have the guidance. And we look forward, Senator, na itong mga bagay-bagay ma-resolve po in your time, matulukan po. Ako, grabe po ang pasalamat ko sa inyo. And we will do everything para po manatili po kayo as champion po doon sa
Salamat, Sir
Senado.
Ben. Ako kasi, Sir Ben, sa totoo lang, Sir Ben, ako'y naniniwala na isa sa mga makakatulong sa pag-angon ng ating bansa sa kahirapan is the cooperative movement. That is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God, that is the truth. Diba? You are helping Filipinos help themselves.
Pumalakpak sila, Senator, makita mo. Pumalakpak, nag-smile pa sila.
Actually, I'm getting emotional. Kaya request namin sa mga kaibigan namin, kapatid natin sa BIR, tulungan natin po sila, Sir Larry, because these guys are the ones doing the job that government is not providing. To be honest, Sir Larry, these are the people that give the microloans. These are the people that are the kapatid ng mga micro, small, and medium enterprises all over the country. They are numbering almost 10 million. Pag pinatay po natin ang cooperative sector, sa tingin ko, magkaka-revolution ng ating bansa. Dahil sa napakaraming kawawa. Sa totoo lang po, Sir Larry. That's why I'm still waiting for a president who really has a vision for cooperatives. Kasi alam mo, pag tinutukan talaga natin, Thailand, for example, has a Department of Cooperatives. Doon sila naniniwala sa kooperatiba. Dahil ito ay mag-aangat ng kabuhayan ng kanilang mga kababayan sa Thailand. So sana po, tulungan po natin sila. Let's help them. Let's not penalize them or they will shut down and thousands of people will be displaced and will lose a family, their cooperative family. Kaya dito talaga ako nakataya at nakatutok and we commit that. Ang gawin na natin, Sir Ben, GOCC meeting po tayo every other month. So every other month. So we are now end of September, maybe end of November, let us have another GOCC meeting. Of course, we will discuss once again, itong tax issues para ma-remind natin yung mga kapatid natin sa BIR, sa DOF, and all the other agencies na gawin natin ang kanilang katungkulan.
Senator
Gary,
Migs.
yes, please. Yes, Sir Gary.
Senator Migs, Kong Ben, medyo po kasi gusto ko lang specifically if Chair Orlan won't mind, gusto lang po sana naming ma-apprise about the status ng IRR for 11364 because unfortunately we didn't have the time to have it discussed, no? Kasi po the last time we met with some officials of CDA following our meeting with Secretary Lopez, may mga medyo bitin pa po na provisions of the IRR which to our understanding will be tackled in the guidelines. As I said,
what we can do,
we're seeking enlightenment on the status.
May we ask Chairman the status of the implementing rules, the IRR? Meron po kayong idea, Chairman?
Meron po kami, Honorable Senator. Actually, we have prepared a presentation yun. Pero, would there be time, Honorable Senator? Kasi mahirap to give food for thought if our
what we'll do, yes, siguro with the permission of Gary, with the permission of Gary and sa lahat, mag-hearing na lang ako ng Committee on Cooperatives. Invite ko na lang si Sir Ben to join me in the hearing. Not necessarily po siya JCOCC, Committee on Cooperatives na lang. Bago mag-break siguro, Sir Ben, mag-hearing ako, invite na lang kita as one of my invited guests. And then we'll have them present the situation dito sa IRR
Yes, yes.
on another hearing.
We have actually, yung sabi ni Honorable Senator, we have leaders on Android to really have things finalized already. Meron na po.
Okay.
I will talk to you.
Sige, Chairman. Mag-hearing na lang tayo, Chairman, bago mag-break.
Sige po, sige. I will, send you a copy to you in the
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairman. So yun na lang, Sir Gary, no? Sana tama kasama natin.
Yes, thank you, Senator. Thank you,
Thank you po.
Congressman.
I may have to wrap up the meeting, my dear colleagues and my dear invited guests. Kasi nga, meron pa akong isa pang Zoom. Naka-heady na nga yung computer. I need to provide quorum. So, sa inyong lahat, unang-una napapasalamat po ako to my co-chair, Kong Ben, to the members of the different cooperatives that are here also. United Co-op Movement of the Philippines, nasa Facebook page po tayo, 1,000 daw nanonood, ang dami daw nanonood. That's very inspiring. Of course, to the congressmen that were here also, our colleagues in the House of Representatives, to my colleagues in the Senate also that attended, Senator Lisa, and of course, sa mga partners natin sa national government agencies. Sir Larry, thank you very much for attending. Thank you for being patient with us. Sana tulungan niyo po kami. Kayo po ang ating pag-asa. Alam mo, I don't believe in fighting you, the agency. I believe in working with them. Iba yung style of leadership ko. Hindi po ako gumugulpi di gulat. Ang aking style, we partner with you guys kasi we are partners in development. So, we're looking forward, Sir Larry, no, magtulungan po tayo. I will have my team reach out to you and to your team, lalo na we can come up with a secretariat mo with the JCOCC and your office. Para yung mga complaints, diretso na namin po sa inyo sa taas. And then, sa lahat po ng mga cooperators from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, maraming salamat, Prof. Ellen from the Academe. Wag po kayo mag-alala, tututukan talaga namin to ni Sir Ben and the committees. Sir Ben, your final words, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have already expressed grabe po pasasalamat sa inyo, Senator. From the deepest part of my heart, talagang naniwala ako. Kayo po ang champion namin sa kooperatiba sa Senado. And I really would fight and work hard na manatili pa kayo doon sa Senado kasi marami pa tayong tatrabahoin. No? I would like to thank my partners po dito sa House of Representatives. Ito po, si Kong Goya, very loyal to the end po. Salamat po. At sa ibang kasamaan, I would like also to recognize yung committee secretariat po. Nalimutan ko kanina. Si Attorney Mariel, yung katulong niya sa opisina. And of course, yung mga magigiting, mga hardworking cooperative leaders sa buong bansa. Sila po ang nagpalago sa kooperatiba. So we are very glad and look forward, Senator, for more meetings, activities like this. And I think prepared na po tayo sa Cooperative Month sa October. We are inviting you officially, Senator, as our guest speaker po sa October 1 na opening. Mas maganda ikaw po yung magbigay ng opening message para po sa mga victories natin sa cooperative movement. October 1, we will send you the official communication. Salamat po sa lahat.
Salamat po, Sir Ben. Basta virtual lang, Sir Ben, kasi sa Mindanao ako. Salamat, marami, Sir Ben. And of course, I'd like to also acknowledge our ComSec, si Ma'am Jingle, of course, Concon Alam. Thank you, Ma'am, to our staff
Thank you,
of the
sir.
JCOCC, yung Senate staff and House staff. I think it was a very successful meeting. And we'd like to once again thank the BIR and all the government agencies. Secretary, don't forget to thank also our Supermon, si Secretary Mon Lopez, talagang napakagaling, isa pang kuya natin sa cooperative movement. So, isang malaking palakpak para sa kooperatiba at mabuhay po tayong lahat. This meeting is hereby adjourned, Mr. Chairman, on part of the Senate.
Kaya nalimutan ko, salamat at buong salamat. Si Director Wang. Hello, ma'am, Director. Thank you for joining.
Thank you po. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. God bless you. Please
Thank
stay
you.
safe.